Chapter 328. No one has ever suffered, as you will. Michael mumbled under his breath. Although he never showed what he's feeling inside on his face, he was burning with anger. Hurry up, I don't have all day, the Reaper growled. Ghost, the word barely escaped through the gritted teeth of Claire. Anger turned her rosy skin into somewhat red. 1, 2, 3. The Reaper started to count as Michael gradually moved the dagger towards his neck. Teacher, Ghost. Olivia and Claire were startled. They trusted Michael to handle the situation, yet what he was doing stirred up their fear. The disciples desperately wanted to help however they could, but they saw no way of helping Ghost. The Reaper moved the dagger an inch closer to Cindy's throat. Cindy's legs turned to jelly, feeling the cold dagger against her throat. Every second Cindy spent fearing for her life made Michael want to torture the Reaper more. For 5 inch now. The moment Michael shouted, a stream of fire out of nowhere hit the deck beside the Reaper. The fire momentarily distracted him. Lightning dash. Michael immediately cast the spell to save Cindy. Michael was not the only one waiting for a distraction. Claire raised her hand as thorns protruded out of the floor beneath the Reaper to coil around his limbs. Thorns of hell. The thorns created by Claire's spell weren't strong enough to immobilize the Reaper forever, but it was strong enough to keep the Reaper from slitting Cindy's throat until Michael reached her. Michael pushed himself to the limit. When he reached the Reaper, Michael pushed Cindy away from the dagger in one hand, while clenching the dagger in the other. Cindy. The moment Cindy was free of the Reaper's hold, Olivia leaped at Cindy, picked her up, and then dashed away as quickly as she could. If it was normal fire, the Reaper would have cut Cindy's throat, but it was not. A dragon's breath burned hotter than anything. The hot blast created when the fire stream hit the deck boiled the Reaper's skin, as he didn't have any defense spells cast on him. Moreover, his hands went numb after feeling a sting on his palm. Kachak. Michael chopped at the Reaper's throat. Arg, cough. Cough. The Reaper clenched his throat in agony. While he was coughing, Michael sent a few blasts of wind to the fire around them. Wind blast. The blasts quickly put out the fire, making the ship dark again. In addition to the fire, the people staring at the scene terrified were also sent flying away by the wind blasts, including Claire and Olivia. Death range. Michael's strength skyrocketed after he cast the death range. Now we dance, Kachak. Kachak. Michael landed a couple of more chops on the Reaper's throat. His hyoid bones were already dislocated by Michael's chops. Unless the Reaper could jump to the fusion stage and cast spells mentally, he was weak as a chicken to Michael. Cindy, are you alright? You poor thing, here, drink this. On the other hand, Olivia embraced Cindy tightly, afraid of letting Cindy out of her reach. Cindy was still shivering when she swallowed the healing potion. Teacher. Olivia looked up to see Michael lifting the intruder by his neck. Due to the darkness, she couldn't see his face. However, she could feel the cold killing intent radiating from Ghost. Everybody back off. Seeing the disciples who were sleeping in the below decks running to the scene, Claire shouted at them. She did not want the disciples to be caught in the crosshairs. Brother, Cindy reached out her hands to Michael. No, sweetheart, let's get away from them. Olivia rushed away to safety carrying Cindy in her arms. Boom. While she was running away, she felt a blast of force hitting her from behind. The force almost knocked her down. Regaining her balance, she looked over her shoulder to see Michael slamming the intruder onto the mainsail pole. We need to hand him over to the Guardians. Claire rushed over to Michael before the situation escalated further. He dies. The disciples felt a chill hearing Michael's cold words. When Claire got closer, she could smell the blood and booze from the intruder. The booze smell was so overwhelming that it made her twitch her nose. Michael couldn't care less about the Reaper's drunk status. It was obvious the Reaper made a stupid move to come here without an actual plan because he was drunk. The booze slowed down the Reaper's reflexes and dimmed out his ability to fight back. Boom. The entire ship shook when Michael slammed the Reaper against the main pole. Son of a b dash. Michael ripped off the Reaper's plain wooden mask of his face. Behind the mask, an old wrinkly face stared back at Michael. His eyes were gray, no facial hair, not even eyebrows could be seen on his face. Arg, Claire saw Michael put his hand straight into the old man's mouth. Ah-ha! The old man frantically shook his body as he was being electrocuted. Claire was unable to make up her mind whether to help the old man or not. Some of the daredevil disciples quickly lit the torches on the deck to see what Michael was doing to the old man in clear light. The torches radiated a bright orange light, revealing everything to them. They saw Ghost standing in front of an old man with his arm inside the old man's mouth. The man kept wiggling to escape, his gray eyes almost turned red in agony. All of a sudden Michael pulled his arm out of his mouth as blood splattered on the ground. Is that? I'm gonna puke. Oh my God. Arve. When they saw Michael's hand which was dripping the old man's blood, their faces turned green. Some of them immediately threw up on the spot while many female disciples screeched like banshees. It was all because of what they saw in Michael's hand, the old man's bloodied tongue. HRRRGGGHHHH. The old man's muffled cry of agony sent chills running through their spines. Claire was nauseated while Olivia quickly closed Cindy's eyes, but she knew it was too late. Olivia felt Cindy's body start to shiver. Michael, however, didn't stop there. I'm starting to get creative. Can you guess what I'm about to do next? Michael let go of the Reaper's neck as he fell down to the floor. The old man wiggled like a fish out of the water in excruciating pain. Teacher, stop. Ghost, listen. Olivia and Claire came running to Michael, hoping to bring back Ghost from his rampage. Oh, I forgot you got no tongue. Michael devilishly chuckled before grabbing the Reaper by his collar. All of the Reaper's effort to wiggle himself out of Michael's grab turned futile. Michael dragged him from the main pole on the ship's center towards the captain's cabin. The old man left a trail of blood pouring out of his mouth. Claire was running behind Michael to make him stop. Olivia, on the other hand, kept Cindy's eyes closed. She herself started to fear ghosts like this. The always calm, smiling youngster was nowhere to be found. Instead, she was looking at a cold-blooded monster. The disciples were staring at Michael. Their faces were pale as white paper. Where the hell is Nightmare? Claire looked up the sky searching for Nightmare, but he was nowhere to be found. HRGGHHHH. When they reached the captain's cabin, Michael slammed the Reaper against the wooden wall. His body fell down. He tried to crawl away from Michael. Stop! Claire screamed, but it was too late as Michael stomped the Reapers on the knee. HRRHHHHHH. Michael's stomp shattered the Reaper's kneecap. There were pieces of broken bones sticking out of his leg. Without saying anything, Michael turned back, walking towards the cabin door. While Ghost was in the captain's cabin doing God's knows what, Claire approached the bloody Reaper. She squatted beside him before taking a healing potion out of her space ring. Unlike Michael, Claire wanted the intruder to be handed over to the Guardians, so they could find out why he was on their ship in the first place. If Ghost killed him, there was no way of finding out the answer. As a sect leader, she wanted to know whether he was targeting only Ghost or plotting to harm the entire sect. Who is he, Claire? Olivia came running. She asked Claire in a husky voice. I don't know. Where is Cindy? Safe with the disciples. Olivia's eyes were fixed at the cabin's door. What's he gonna do? Torture. Olivia's heard Michael's voice. The door to the cabin opened once again to reveal Michael. He walked out of the room carrying a roll of rope. HRRGGHHHHHHH. The Reaper's eyes opened so wide as it looked like they were about to pop out of the sockets. Ghost, stop, teacher. The two ladies tried to stop him, but at the same time, their feet walked backward in subconscious fear. Look at you, completely healed up, Michael grinned. Not the kind one or his usual one. It was radiating murderous intent. Let's fix that up. Michael lifted the Reaper by his neck once again to beat the crap out of him. While holding the Reaper in the air in one hand, Michael started to punch repeatedly in the chest region, breaking his ribs one by one. Teacher, stop! She grabbed Michael's hand. Olivia couldn't keep watching Michael torture the old man. If he had killed the old man, Olivia would have understood, but torturing him like this seemed wrong to her. Wind blast! Michael blasted away Olivia when she tried to stop him with a blast of wind. No one can lessen the pain I'm about to inflict on you. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 329. Olivia. Claire shouted when she saw Olivia was sent flying away. Michael did not even linger around to see Olivia fall down. He started to drag the Reaper away from the captain's cabin to the mainsail pole. Boom. Halfway to the mainsail pole, he threw the Reaper as the Reaper slammed against the pole. The pole swayed, creating a creaking noise. The Reaper struggled to stand up. He knew he was going to die, but he didn't want to go down without a fight. It took great strength to retrieve the silver dagger from his waist. SSSHHHHGGGSSSS, the Reaper growled. Without the tongue, no one could make a sense out of his growl. As he walked towards the Reaper, Michael's sword materialized in his hand from the system storage. He only took out one sword because one was more than enough for what's on his mind. The Reaper barely stood straight, holding the dagger at Michael. Stand down, idiot, he's dead. What's his cultivation level? Definitely not higher than Brother Ghost. The onlookers began to murmur among themselves. For some, it was quite entertaining, and for some, the old man is getting what he deserves for trying to harm Cindy. Michael did not focus on anything except hurting the Reaper in front of him. When he was just a meter away from the old man, the old Reaper slashed the dagger. Ting! With a simple flick of his sword, Michael sent the dagger flying away from the old man's hand. Pulch! Michael didn't stop with one slash. He slashed his sword again. This time, he aimed at the old man's wrist. Michael's sword cut the old man's wrist like a hot knife through butter. HRRRG. As blood was gushing out of the place where his wrist was a moment ago, the old Reaper screamed in agony. Each pulse pumped out more blood out of the wound. While the Reaper was squirming in pain, Michael slashed yet again, cutting his other wrist. HRRRG. The old man's face became paler and paler due to blood loss. After squirming for a few seconds, he fell down again to the ground. The blood formed a circle around him as he laid in his own pool of blood. Even some of those disciples who initially wanted the old man to die felt a little pity for him, because the Sunrise sect taught their disciples kindness and compassion. Get up, Michael wasn't finished. He lifted the Reaper by his blood-drenched collar. Boom. Michael slammed him yet another time before he used the rope he got from the captain's cabin to tie him against the mainsail pole. Michael deliberately tied the rope with the rope that was used to hoist the flag. Brother, stop! Just when Michael was about to hoist the Reaper like a flag to make him die slowly, Cindy's shout reverberated the ship. Cindy, close your eyes! Claire and Olivia came running to Cindy. Olivia tried to close Cindy's eyes, but the little girl swatted her hands away. For the first time since Michael started to torture the Reaper, he took his gaze away from the Reaper. Brother, you can't do this to a fellow human being. Everyone was surprised to see Cindy talk with a serious face for the first time since they knew her. Human being? He's not 1 inch. Michael pulled down the rope as the Reaper's body moved higher. Neither are you, brother, if you keep doing this, Cindy. Claire's heart skipped a beat when the little girl talked back. She tried to shush her, yet Cindy didn't back off. We should be kind, merciful, and caring. The words that came out of her mouth didn't seem to belong to a little girl. Cindy, go to your room. You're still too little. No. No, both Cindy and Michael said no at the same time. People like him always mistake kindness for weakness, Cindy. Show him kindness and he will show you the dagger. And you're right. Michael paused for a second, looking at the Reaper and Cindy. I'm not human when someone pisses me off. Michael pulled down the rope with enough force that catapulted the Reaper's body to the top of the mainsail pole. Diddle diddle. The flag of the Sunrise sect now had a bloody body hanging in front. We are so little. BRBR. She stuttered in shock, seeing the bloody body. The rope tied around the Reaper's body got tighter as his eyes started to bulge out. In addition to his eyes bulging out, the blood oozed down onto Michael, bathing him in blood. He looked like a demon in everyone's eyes for a second. Kill or be killed, Cindy. You'll realize this when you grow up and learn how this world works, Michael said. Teacher, you're sick, Olivia said to herself. Perhaps everyone on the ship had the same thought appear in their minds. Somewhere else in the Elon continent, a few hours ago, the clouds were the kind of gray that would make any quarry rock proud, as if they were so pleased to echo the ground. All the gray, all that swirling water in the sky. Condensation was bound to happen sooner rather than later. Above these gray clouds was a desolate quarry. As far as one's eyes could see, there wasn't a single tree or any plant for that matter that could be found except for boulders and a group of angry Reapers wearing nothing but black robes. Each of the Reapers looked exactly like the Reaper that attacked Michael's ship. The reapers were rushing from all directions towards a woman who was sitting on a pile of dead bodies. She was calmly watching the reapers while sharpening her swords by rubbing them together. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind, revealing the drops of blood on her alluring face. From her long coat to the fingerless glow to the boots she wore, everything was black as the darkest night. The pile of bodies she was sitting on contained at least 30 dead reapers. All of them were core strengthening stage level 6 cultivators. Yet none of them could stand a chance against her. Even when there were 20 more reapers rushing towards her with their weapons raised, there wasn't the slightest fear in her eyes. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. She flicked her wrists as the blood on the sword splattered onto the ground, revealing the black blades of her swords. Her voice was gentle, yet at the same time, it was filled with a murderous aura. How I wonder what you are. A thin layer of gold energy enveloped her body as she gracefully stood up to walk towards the live reapers. Up above the world so high, as she was walking, a crimson-red fire started to coil around her swords like snakes. Soon, the fire enveloped her whole body. The fire burnt so hot that even the pebbles on the ground turned into charcoal. The reaper came to a halt when they felt the air getting hotter and hotter. They had no idea how strong the woman before them was. The only thing they knew was that she cut 30 reapers in a couple of minutes like vegetables. They didn't even know who the hell was this woman. The reapers were minding their business as they were flying to kill Ghost. But all of a sudden, she appeared out of nowhere, ambushed them, and killed their colleagues except for one. She let one alive so he could bring backup. Like a diamond in the sky. The moment she said the last word of the rhyme, she leaped so high into the sky. She then swirled her swords as the fire formed a circle above her head. Die. She pointed the two swords at the reapers. The circle of fire transformed into a chakra before soaring through the sky towards the reapers. Turtle shell. Snow prison. Earth shield. The reapers immediately cast defensive shields around them. However, none of their shields were protected from the fire. It melted through their shield to reduce them into nothing but ashes. Pathetic weaklings, the woman snickered. With a single spell, she took out half of the reapers. Those who survived were blasted by the shock wave. Run! After seeing how reality she killed the reapers, the rest of them lost the nerve to fight her. Hellfire circle, hovering above the reapers, she waved her hand. The very next moment, the crimson-red fire turned ominous dark purple. The stream of purple fire shot out from both of her swords, forming a cage around the reapers who tried to run away. The grim reapers who were feared by everyone were stuck in the cage of fire, waiting to be killed like insects. She slowly descended from the sky. The ceiling of the fire cage opened up to let her obediently. Pulch, 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 pulch. She gracefully sliced and diced the reapers who were unfortunate to be closer to her. Each of her sword slashes cleaved a head clean off a shoulder. After killing another 4, she didn't even move. She just waved her sword, creating a crescent-shaped wind blade with her swords. More blood splashed across the ground, painting the gray ground red. The cage was her killing ring, and the reapers were nothing but mere cattle that were waiting to be butchered. Why, who are you, lady? The last remaining reaper tried to crawl away from her. His half of the body was burnt by the purple flame. Before he died, he wanted to know who killed him and why. She kicked him in the gut before squatting down beside him. Tell your friends you guys picked up a wrong contract. The woman ran her sword through the reaper's neck. The reaper slightly sighed inside, thinking that she might let him live. Don't bother, I'll tell them myself. The reaper's heart skipped a beat, but soon, his heart was penetrated by her sword, ending his life instantly. She looked around the dead reapers for a few seconds. I need to find the one who put the contract on my son, and in this, she tossed the swords into the air before turning back to leave. As she was walking away, the swords fell straight into her sheath on her back. Snap. While walking away, she snapped her fingers as the purple flame cage exploded, creating a small mushroom cloud. She walked away from the explosion like in the movies. The reapers never thought they would be massacred by a woman. They had no idea that it was Harriet Hunt who hunted them down. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 330. The road that led to and from Meblin village in Kethen was unrecognizable as nature had begun reclaiming the now unused area. Gardens once looked after and trimmed to perfection were now rough and overgrown, returning back to their chaotic natural state. Most doors were either completely gone, or mere remnants of rotten wood and rusty metal. The open doorways looked eerie as only darkness showed within. Paint crumbled off of the walls, and was slowly replaced by vines that crawled their way towards the rooftops. Meblin, once nothing more than a simple, quiet town, was now a ghost town in the truest sense. The air, which was once filled with the many sounds of a growing community, had grown eerily quiet. The silence was only broken up by the occasional animal sound and gust of wind. The once tranquil peace of mind people found in the park was now found by wild animals enjoying the sunshine and tall grasses. With nothing and nobody to bother them, they had grown into a huge community of their own. One could go anywhere in town they wanted, walk into any home, and visit any previously private part of town, assuming it hadn't been destroyed by nature already. But not all was lost. In a way, the legacy of this town lived on through the animals that lived here now. The spirit was still alive, albeit in a different manner. Strolling through this ghost town, Gaia entered a longhouse. The house was dark, but the orb of light hovering in her hand helped her navigate through the corridor, which she could clearly feel was leading downwards. The corridor was pretty dark, and after having walked for 15 minutes in silence, a steel door appeared in front of them. "What is this place?" Standing on Gaia's shoulder, Iag asked. Vidora felt surprised. They never expected a hidden place like this within a ruined house in a ghost town. "There's a portal behind this steel room." Gaia placed her hand on the dust-covered steel door. "Portal to the fire realm?" Iag asked. After leaving the dark forest, Gaia only told them that she's going to a realm called the Fire Realm, except she didn't tell them how or why. "That's right." She waved her hand, unleashed a beam of light onto the steel door. A click immediately sounded out from the door. It looked like it hadn't been opened for quite a long time. Or perhaps it had only been opened a few times, which is why it produced such a rusty sound when opening. Behind the steel door was a spacious secret chamber, and it was sealed on all sides. Right in the middle of the secret chamber, there was an illusory portal. It was floating endlessly like water while emitting bright lights. "How do you know about this portal?" Iag asked. "This place looks ancient, yet this portal doesn't look old at all." Sarba looked curiously at the portal. "There are secret portals all over this world made by cults before the Guardians wiped them out. Now that I think about it, the Order of Death might be one of those cults." She cautiously walked towards the portal. "Whoever built this was really skillful with formations. The portal is different from all other kinds of portals and formations, and it's related to the dimensional forces. Without advanced knowledge about runes, no one would be able to build this. Definitely, the work of a 6-star rune master," Gaia said with a calm voice. "So are you gonna tell us your plan here?" Gaia sighed inside. Instead of stepping into the portal, she decided to let Vidora know her plan. Otherwise, she knew they would keep asking the same question until she answered them. However, she had no time to briefly explain her plan. Therefore, she only gave them an outline of her plan. "Here's the gist. We go to this realm, find something called the Satanic Key, enter the blood cave using the key, find the 5-headed ancient serpent, kill it, and absorb its soul." She made it sound easy, but she knew it would take everything in her to survive inside the fire realm, let alone defeating the ancient serpent. However, she was resolute in getting this done. If she could absorb the ancient serpent, her body and soul would go through metamorphosis, just like Nightmare, only her metamorphosis would catapult her cultivation level to multiple stages higher. "Why do I get the feeling we're gonna get our asses kicked soon?" "I told you not to come," Gaia shrugged. "Shut up and activate the portal. This place freaks me out," Iag complained as Gaia rolled her eyes. She told Vidora not to come with her, yet Iag insisted on coming with her. In fact, Iag gave Gaia only 2 choices. It was either bring them along, or they would tell Michael about her departure. Since Gaia didn't want Michael to come with her as she didn't want to endanger his life, she brought Vidora with her. Fine. With a flip of her palm, she retrieved a golden-colored token from his storage ring. It was about the size of a palm, and it looked to fit right into the slot located at the center of the portal. She took a step forward, gently placing the token into the portal. An instant later, the portal produced a buzzing sound. Then it started functioning. Swoosh swoosh, followed by the activation of the portal. A wild wind swept across the entire secret chamber. Celestial energy was leaking out from the portal, making it difficult for them to breathe. Buzz, not long after that, a pitch-black tunnel appeared right in the middle of the portal. Freezing winds immediately violently blew out from it. It was so cold that it felt like it was coming from eternal darkness. It sent a shiver down the spines of all who heard it. Even the usually calm Kane's expression changed upon sensing this. Gaia, however, was standing right in front of the storm with an indifferent expression. Ayag stuck her tongue out and felt excited as well. Just like Gaia, Ayag did not fear danger. She became excited upon encountering danger. Both loved thrilling adventures. They liked the feeling of excitement. Let's go. Gaia leaped forward, disappearing into the tunnel. Click. Right as Gaia disappeared, the tunnel instantly closed. The portal had also stopped functioning. The golden token popped out from the slot before turning into nothing but ashes. Swoosh swoosh. The freezing wild wind never seemed to stop. Ho-ho. Ayag screamed excitedly, putting her tongue outside. Hold on to Usasis. Sarba on the other hand screamed into Gaia's ears. He wanted Gaia to hold them in her hands rather than letting them stay on her shoulders. This is Aawazowsom. Ayag kept screaming. She did not worry about getting thrown into the spatial tunnel. After hearing Sarba scream, she lifted Vidora from her shoulder to hold them tight in her hand. Only then Sarba heaved a sigh of relief. Gaia was moving along the flow. There were whirlwinds everywhere, and the tunnel looked variegated. The whirlwinds kept blowing into the tunnel, causing her face to hurt. The more they traveled, the more the tunnel seemed shaky and unstable, as if it was going to collapse at any time. Quit screaming, shithead. The portal isn't stable. We better be careful. I don't want to drift off from the tunnel because of your screams. Gaia flicked Ayag on the head. What will happen if we drift off from this tunnel? Sarba politely asked. Behind his polite words, Gaia could sense fear. Nothing good. Best case scenario, we'll end up outer space, drifting forever. Worst case, our bodies would explode into a bloody mist. Sarba felt even more depressed after hearing her words. He looked around and found out there were black holes everywhere. Also, from time to time, a massive dimensional typhoon would appear in their sights. Black hole was a place where coldness and darkness blended together. It was tough to find a dimensional node within. Even immortals wouldn't dare to treat a black hole carelessly. The dimensional typhoon within the black holes was the deadliest existence. It was just a dreadful monster that would cause anything that gets dragged into it to perish. Within the teleportation tunnel, Kane was admiring the breathtaking dimensional turbulence around him while listening to Ayag and Sarba chit-chat. He noticed Gaia often looked over her shoulder. He could tell she was looking for Ghost. Although she didn't talk about how she's feeling, her eyes betrayed her, revealing the sorrow within her heart to the outside. After staying for a full day in the tunnel for an entire day, the duo finally saw a light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there. Seeing this, Gaia informed Vidora. I wonder what the flame realm looks like. Ayag was so excited that she jumped up from Gaia's hand. The light at the end of the tunnel became brighter, and soon after, Gaia arrived at the end of the tunnel. Everyone held their breath as they were getting ready to enter the fire realm. Right now, within the fire realm, someplace within an abyss. It was a foggy place, and everything here looked gray. The abyss was a completely desolated area, and rocks were everywhere. A monster with a body fully covered with purplish scales was roaming around in this area. This monster was over 5 meters tall. Its whole body was fuming with frightening red mist. It only had one eye, which was positioned vertically right in the middle top of its face. It also only had one nostril and one huge mouth below the eye. The eye, nose, mouth were all lined up in a straight line, giving it a really fearsome savage look. The monster was roaming around. Its eyeball was rolling around in full alert, as if it was searching for something. Bang. Suddenly a loud banging sound could be heard from the skies above. It was as loud as a fierce thunder strike. A hole in the sky appeared as a figure shouted out from it. The monster was startled by the sound. It raised its head to look in the direction. In an instant, Gaia fell straight onto its head. Plop. Everything happened so fast that this monster didn't even have time to react. Gaia carried a massive amount of force when she hit the monster's head. The monster cried out horribly while rolling on the floor. Roar! The monster was furious. After rolling on the floor in pain, it immediately stood up on the ground to look at the being that caused the pain. "You are one ugly son of a bitch." Gaia's bow materialized in her hand. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 331, What is that thing? Vidora stared at the beast from top to bottom in wonder. They searched through the knowledge they inherited from Gaia and Michael to find something or anything about the beast. Bang! While they were focusing on finding about the beast, Gaia released a golden arrow aiming at the beast's head. The moment the arrow met the beast's head, blood splashed everywhere. The monster's head exploded into a mess. Gaia felt a bit of pity for the monster. A moment ago, it was minding its own business. Fate played a game in the monster's life by opening the portal right above its head. Otherwise, she wouldn't have landed on the beast, making it mad. "Do you think it's edible? What is wrong with you?" Gaia felt a sudden feeling of nausea hit her core when Iag asked. She flicked Iag on the head couple of times. "Ouch bitch, that hurts." Aya cursed Gaia while trying to bite her finger. Cain ignored their bickering. "A body refining stage beast. I can sense its cultivation stage, so that means the Hydra's scream didn't affect this realm." "Are we in a different world?" Sarba asked. Finally, Gaia stopped fighting with Iag to answer Sarba. "No, this is one of the many realms between our world and the space outside. Some realms are above the world while some realms are inside our world." After explaining, she started to walk away from the dead bodies as it might attract various other beasts to their location. "Why does this damn abyss feel so ghastly? Gray fog everywhere. I hope this fog can't hurt us." Gaia's expression became serious. She looked around as well. "Did you come here before?" Sarba asked. "No, but I learned what's little out there about this place." "Humph, never pegged you for a learning type," Iag snickered. The other two heads expected a snarky comeback from Gaia, yet she kept walking without uttering a word. "Alright, this place looks boring as it is, and now you decided to go into silence mode." Iag moved her head towards Gaia's thumb to chew it. She wanted to bring Gaia back from her deep train of thoughts. Ah! Gaia suddenly felt a sharp pain in her thumb. She looked down to see Iag chewing her thumb viciously. "What's on your mind?" Sarba asked before gently knocking away Iag from Gaia's thumb. "Isn't it obvious she's thinking about Ghost?" Iag said. "You should have brought him with us." "No, Cain, he has enough problems as it is. I want to do this alone. If he was with me, I'd be worrying about my safety more than getting what I need here. I need to prove it to myself that I'm worthy of him." Vidora understood Gaia's feeling. They unanimously decided not to ponder into her feelings too much. If she was focusing on her feelings, her fighting intent would be lessened. They didn't want that to happen. Gaia learned about this place, yet she did not expect it to be such a nefarious environment. "Look, another one." Iag noticed another beast looking exactly the same as the one Gaia killed roaming around the land almost 100 meters in front of them. Gaia wanted to go past the beast without killing it, but even from 100 meters away, the beast found them. It turned its one eye staring at them as puffs of smoke came out of its nostril. "What is this monster? There's something different about these beasts." As Sarba was letting the others know what was in his mind, Gaia fired an arrow lightning fast. The arrow soared through the air. Boom. Just like before, when the arrow hit the beast, its head exploded. The energy coming from it was not arch energy, it's different. Getting closer to the dead body, Gaia carefully examined the monster. Indeed, she had learned about these beasts called the fire demons, but she had never seen them with her own eyes until now. "I think the energy coming from them is some kind of first energy." Human talked about various energies other than arch and celestial. Since this is not celestial, it must be first energy, at least a variant of it. She paused for a second before going on. "According to the legends, these fire demons have a really strong body and incredible muscles, and its most powerful weapon is its vertical eye, which can unleash a powerful light that can cause damage directly to one's soul. These beasts only exist in ancient realms like this one. We need to be careful here." I don't think there are only body-refining beasts here, Gaia sighed inwardly. The ancient scripts she had read about ancient realms told her that the Fire Realm had suddenly appeared 3,000 years ago. It was the same time the Guardians completed a ritual that made the gods lock the Dark Lord seed in a universe with no magical energy, a void universe. Since we're so close to this beast, we should get the monster core. Gaia put her hand inside the bloody mess on the ground. She searched for a few moments before grabbing the monster core of the beast. Vidora saw her pull a hand-sized black orb from the bloody mess. She quickly put the core inside her space ring. You're right. I, the master dog, have a copper head and iron bones. Even if the ancestor of this fire demon was here, it wouldn't be able to withstand a single head slam from this master dog. I can sense strong energy radiation from this thing. I wonder if you can absorb this energy? Asked Kane as Gaia shook her head. I can't, but I bet my freaky human can. Speaking about Michael put a smile on her face. Not all beasts contain monster cores, but if a monster core contained arch energy, any individual being from any race could absorb the energy. Nevertheless, monster cores that contained anything other than arch energy or celestial energy couldn't be absorbed by a being as they contained too much impure energy. Absorbing it by force would seriously impact the person's cultivation, and it could even make them enter a state of coma. Usually, monster cores above the body strengthening stage were extremely rare, because any beast that reached core formation would choose to live in places hidden from the hunters. Most of the time, these beasts would form a pack to keep themselves safe from hunters and get rare herbs that let them cultivate faster. After putting the monster core in her space ring, she shot out a ball of flames and burned the body to ashes. Roar. Right at this moment, a loud roar sounded out from somewhere not far away from where they stood. It sounded deep and a little hoarse, which made it extremely terrifying. They immediately turned around to look in the direction. In an instant, they saw a monster which was glowing brightly appearing not far away from them. It was slowly walking towards them. Although she burned the body, it was too late as the monster was attracted by the smell of blood long before she burned the body. What kind of monster is this? Vidora was startled. The monster wasn't tall. It was just a little bit taller than an average human. The body didn't look very muscular either, but it gave them an overbearing impression. This monster had a transparent body that looked like a crystal. Also, it didn't have any facial figures. No nose, no ears, and no mouth. Right in the middle of its face, there was a crystal eye, which kept staring at Gaia. Grrrrrrrr. The monster roared out once again. It didn't have a mouth, but it could still roar loudly. The roar sounded like it came from its body. It was enough to send shivers down most people's spines. If any ordinary girl saw this strange monster, she would definitely be scared to the point she screamed as loud as she could. But Gaia didn't move at all. Since the Hydra's scream didn't affect this realm, she could easily find out the cultivation level of this monster. It was only a core formation level 1. Although it was considered pretty strong, it couldn't pose any threat to her. Unlike the two beasts she killed before, the beast approaching her looked nothing like the two beasts. This beast was transparent like a crystal and had only one eye, no other facial features. Lucky us, another ugly thing came to greet us. Ayag rolled her eyes. I once read a book called Ancient Beings. It recorded all sorts of monsters and beings. By the look of this beast, it must be Glass Wraith. You seem to have read an awful lot of books for an orphan, Ayag frowned. Not only Ayag but also Sarba and Kane felt surprised by her knowledge about this world. They even saw Ghost ask her for information, and he was a freak of nature who could do anything in their minds. In the short amount of time they followed Gaia, it felt like there was nothing that she didn't know. If I told you I am a princess, would you believe me? Gaia looked at Vidora with a small smile on her face. You? A princess? Ha ha ha. Ayag burst into laughter after hearing Gaia. Stop playing around and kill that beast, roar. The Glass Wraith roared out once again. Somewhat Kane had a feeling that the beast wasn't surprised to see the human in front of it. To Kane, it seemed like Gaia didn't tell them the whole story about this place. The Glass Wraith carried an extreme killing intention as it quickly sprinted towards her. Since this ugly fucker is tired of living, we should send him to hell. Ayag was laughing out loudly in excitement as Gaia knocked a fire arrow on her bowstring, preparing to shoot the moment the beasts come into her target area. One more chapter about Gaia's adventure, and we can finally start the tournament. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 332 Boom. The moment the glass wraith came close enough for her to kill it, she released the arrow from her bow. The fire arrow left a trail of blaze of fire in the air staring from Gaia's bow to the beast's location. The arrow hit its target, creating an explosion. She infused the arrow with her cultivation power to obliterate the glass wraith. The beast's body shattered instantly because of the impact. It turned into pieces of crystals and scarred across the place. Humph, so weak. Ayag was laughing out loudly seeing how easily the arrow killed the beast. However, before she could finish having a laugh, her eyes went wide in shock. The three heads could see the broken crystal pieces assembling back to normal in an instant, making the glass wraith whole again. Roar. Hey, race, a lesson for you, Ayag. Never laugh too soon. Unlike Vidora, Gaia knew this would happen. To kill a glass wraith, one had to exhaust all the energy in its soul, which meant she had to kill the beast again, and again until it could not resurrect again. The glass wraith was extremely angry. It roared out in fury as it dashed towards Vidora once again. This glass wraith was a rare and unique life form. It didn't possess any kind of innate ability to cast spells. It only relied on its Bodhi's strength. It could rip anything apart. Besides, the bright light that shot out from its body could cause devastating damage. Anyone who got hit by it would either die or suffer severe injuries. What are you waiting for? Kill it. Vidora felt somewhat depressed, even humiliated when the glass wraith resurrected. In a blink of an eye, Gaia fired another fire arrow at the beast. Just like before, the shattered glass wraith was restored back to its original shape, which looked and felt exactly like it did before. What the fuck? Ayag's fury ignited. She felt like she herself was fighting the glass wraith. Calm down, we need to kill the glass wraith again and again until it has no energy left in its soul to resurrect itself, as she said. She fired another arrow before the glass wraith could leap towards her. Yet again it shattered into crystal pieces before assembling its whole body again. What an abnormal monster. Only we had this ability. Ayag's eyes sparkled. Who would be able to kill us? Ayag wondered. Stop daydreaming. After all the time they spent with Gaia, Ayag was used to getting flicked on the head. So when Gaia flicked her this time, she just ignored instead of bickering. Boom. 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 Gaia fired a fire arrow one after another, shattering the glass wraith again and again. After being killed several times, the glass wraith's energy in the monster core reached a critical point. Realizing the threat of imminent death, the beast immediately turned around, fleeing with extreme speed. Since it was a core formation level beast, it possessed basic intelligence, hence, it finally understood how powerful its opponent was. If it continued fighting, it would get itself killed here. It's running away. How we got that bastard? It didn't take a genius to figure out why the glass wraith was running away. Because its resurrection caused some slight humiliation to Ayag. She wanted nothing more than seeing the glass wraith shatter into pieces, and not getting resurrected again. Gaia was not in a hurry to kill the glass wraith. She let it run for a few more seconds before firing the arrow. The blazing arrow soared through the air, aiming at the glass wraith's back. Just as before, the arrow made the body explode, but this time, the shattered pieces stayed as it is. Buzz followed by a buzzing sound. The broken crystal pieces which were shattered around the place formed into a fist-sized crystal ball that floated in the middle of the air. Is that the glass wraith's monster core? This is something good. Vidora noticed a curious look emerging on Gaia's face. Gaia had quick hands. In an instant, she grabbed the crystal ball with her hand. Then she said, "Wow, this contains pure arch energy and even a sliver of celestial energy within. Didn't you say the monster cores of the beasts here contain impure energies? What makes this one different?" Ayag asked. No one can absorb the monster cores found in the beasts here without purifying them first, but this one is different. According to ancient beings, the glass wraith is born from nature after having absorbed pure arch energy. As I said before, not only does this core contain huge amounts of pure arch energy, It also contains a sliver of celestial energy, which means any cultivator can absorb it directly. So are you gonna absorb the energies? Gaia shook her head. It'd do little to no good to me. Because the core is from a core formation level 2 beast. I'm way stronger than the beast. No use in absorbing anything that's not stronger than you. However, if we can bring it out from here, we can sell it for a fortune, she grinned, tossing the crystal a couple of times in the air and catching the core. Cores like this can be only found in places like this. Out there, it's extremely hard to get a core from a beast above body strengthening stage. So that's why there are so many people who are risking their lives in places such nether realms. Sarba had a look of realization on his face as Kane opened his mouth. Plus, they also get battle experience. Alright, I'm sure there are a lot of glass wraiths here. Oh boy, we're gonna be rich. A bright smile appeared on Iag's face. Although Gaia knew she could make a small fortune auctioning the cores, getting the crystal cores was no easy task. Only idiots venture into ancient places looking to make money. Let's imagine if someone bumps into a glass wraith which is at the same level as he or she, they are fucked. Even if they were one level higher than the beast, they'll be still fucked. Instead of one getting the beast's core, it will get the flesh and blood of an idiot. Gaia was not here to make money. If it was, she could have stayed with Ghost and made millions through the Majestic and Hades. Her goal was to find the five-headed serpent. Absorbing its soul would start her metamorphosis. According to Nagaland's history, only Gaia's mother managed to slay one and absorb its soul. It was the reason for her mother's terrifying power, but the power came at a cost. During the fight, Gaia's mother was wounded by the five-headed serpent. Its poison slowly spread through her body, reducing her life little by little. If only her mother knew Ghost before, he could have saved her. Look at the bright side. We are not idiots who are looking to make money, but since we are here, it doesn't hurt to make a fortune, Iag said with a grin on her face. Alright, let's resume our journey. I suppose this place is only the outer perimeter, so let's move out from this abyss and start going towards the depths of the realm. It's better if we could bump into some edible thing. I'm starving. Me too, Sarba agreed with Iag as Gaia continued to walk towards the realm's center. She leaped forwards, starting to fly in a straight line away from the abyss. In front of them, there was a grayish desolated area with rocks scarred all over the place. There were also some thick woods, and some strange plants growing within. After flying for almost 15 minutes, Iag's eyes lit up. Hey, are you sensing what I'm sensing? Yes. I can also sense the same energy I sensed in the glass wraith, Sarba said. This is nothing to be excited about. Foul monsters are everywhere, and we need to be extra careful. Kane tried to remind them that the fire demon and the glass wraith were just some appetizers. The real dangers of the realm might be ahead of them. Shut up, Kane, you're worse than this one, Iag hit Sarba with her head. No matter what kind of beasts come, they will flee getting their asses kicked. Hey Gaia, just be ready with your bow. Iag became narcissistic again. Caught just as Iag finished showing her narcissistic grin, a huge object suddenly got in their way. It was a monstrous three-headed raven. The raven was almost 5 meters tall while fully covered with black feathers. Coupled with its 3 heads and humongous size, it could easily scare someone with its looks alone. You just had to open your mouth, Kane sighed. Swoosh, Gaia saw a black fog kept rising from the black raven's body. It was neither dark nor ominous as the smoke that would envelop Ghost when he's in his full Dark Lord persona. Before Gaia could back away from the raven's path, it locked on his gaze at them. The pair of evil eyes stared at Gaia and Vidora. It had decided them to be its prey. Damn it, what kind of monster is this one? We've only been here for a short time, and we have already bumped into 3 ugliest things in the world. Iag gritted her teeth in anger. She wasn't scared of the raven at all. Although it was stronger than the fire demon and the glass wraith they previously fought, it was still a core formation level 4 beast. She knew the raven was not a match for Gaia. However, what pissed her off was that this raven had appeared right after she boasted. This gave the other 2 heads a reason to mock her when the time came. Chapter 333 The Royal Land had never been busier than today. There were only joyful faces as they headed toward the arena for the greatest tournament for warriors in Elon. Music filled the air as the people felt chock full of adrenaline-pumping happiness. The vibrancy of the event, the energy of the dancing dragons, The fireworks that made an artistic canvas of the early morning sky was looked forward to by all. The people flowed like rivers, never stopping for obstacles but swirling around them. On those wide avenues of royal land with wilted trees, their leaves curled and blackened in the gentle morning heat, the buildings towered on each side. The crowd had a life of its own. Their vibrant clothes shone in the morning light, and the people moved like enchanting shoals of fish. There was chatter between sellers and buyers, old friends catching up, new friends making. It's busy for sure, but the hustle and bustle brought life to this city one wouldn't want to be without. Among the crowd of people, half of them had their faces painted in various colors. They showed support for their star by this gesture. Even the little kids comfortably sitting on their father's shoulders had their faces painted. Life might be hard for some, but today, there wasn't a face that did not show a wide grin. Excitement, adrenaline, fans, and a perfectly manicured turf were all things that came to Ethan's mind when he entered the arena through the VIP entrance. The Ataxia was one of the most impressive arenas he has ever been to. If anyone visited this arena for the first time, they would be overwhelmed by the size and beauty of its massive structure. The majestic arena stood almost 600 feet high and could seat 130,000 roaring fans. The first thing Ethan noticed when entering the stadium was the ocean of crowd. He thought it would be more suitable to call them fans as there were so many of them, wearing the various colors of clothes, painted faces, and carrying boards that had their heartfelt message written on them. For people like Ethan, it was just a board, but for the die-hard fans, they were like bridges that connected them with their stars. They waved the boards up in the air, hoping their stars would take notice. The entire arena filled with people was so beautiful. It was like a painting painted by the happiest painter in the world. There was excitement and anticipation in the air as the thousands of fans started singing and chanting for the sex and the stars they support. The noise kept getting louder and louder as other fans arrived and joined in. There were thousands of fans, cramming their way into every available seat. The seats for anyone except VIPs were made of cold, hardwood, and painted white and yellow, the two colors that represented the royal land. Although the wooden seats were not really comfortable to sit on as they were built so close together, so one had to squeeze into them. The excitement in their hearts overshadowed the discomfort felt by their bodies. The arena had loads of smells. Ethan could smell the gentle morning breeze. The aromas from different foods were so strong he could actually taste them in his mouth. There was also a smell of freshly brewed ale that had been spilled time and time again. The sunlight reflecting on the gigantic mirrors set all around the arena was blinding. It shone down on the field, the crowd, and made everything look so bright and dazzling. In addition to the mirror, there were lights set on massive metallic structures, which held them high above the arena. They could be seen from miles as they lit up the night sky. Below the set of lights on the west side of the arena was a scoreboard. It was magnificently lit up. At the moment, the scoreboard was empty, void of names. After looking at the accommodation for the normal people, he was glad he was able to buy VIP tickets. The VIP accommodations were located on the east side of the arena, closer to the battle area, built on an elevated stage to give them a clear view of the fights. Moreover, their seats were not wooden chairs, they were recliner cushions. On top of better seating and view, the VIP balcony also had Ruby cuisine stalls set up so the VIPs could get better and tastier foods, and merchant stalls that sell opera glasses for children and for those who have problems with their eyesight. Ethan was carrying buckets of snacks which include honey popcorns, roasted chicken legs, fruit juices, and some other snacks he had never even heard of before to his neck. Yet he was being pushed by his wife who had nothing in her hands. The only thing Ethan took pleasure in was, every man in his family had the same fate as him. Walk faster, Ethan, you have glue stuck up your feet or something. For crying out loud, I'm a lord of this family and carrying all these things like a servant. Well, you were the one who said it's a waste of money to buy tickets for the servants, Diana retorted with a chuckle. Ever since she made the promise she won't cry anymore after reading the interview of Ghost, she had become the joyous person she used to be. If I knew you people would spend that money on these snacks, I would have bought tickets for everyone. At least, I would have been spared from being a mule. Ethan rolled his eyes while navigating through the seats. Stop bickering, you two. These are our seats, Imelda reminded both Diana and Ethan. She first let the kids take their seats while supervising the men to their seats. In the Winston family, after Ethan's parents and Diana, Imelda held the highest authority. All the family members looked up to her leadership when Ethan was stuck. She was a natural-born leader. Among the three Hunt sisters, Diana was the rebel, Natalia was the silent child, and Imelda was the opposite of both of them. She was a disciplined, outspoken child. More than anything in the world, she loved her sisters. That was the reason that even after running away from our continent, she refused to get married as she had seen marriages tear apart a family. She never wanted to be put in a situation where she had to choose between her family and her sisters. To this day, Imelda never regretted her decision not to get married. Everyone in the Winston family loved and adored Imelda. The children loved just as much as they loved their mothers, or even more. Miriam, don't fight with your brother. Bernie, you take that seat over there. Uncle Fedor, don't you dare stick that gum under that chair. She was the last person to take her seat after scolding, diffusing fights, and disciplining everyone. The entire Winston family was here except for Rowena, Natalia, and her husband, who refused to see their son getting beaten. What would we do without you? Diana squeezed Imelda's hand when she took her seat beside Diana. You guys will be like headless chickens without me. Imelda chuckled while playfully pinching Diana's cheeks. Suddenly Imelda's smile became a frown. You look different, Diane. Diana hoped she wouldn't notice the difference, even though she deep down knew Imelda would. Diana shared everything with her two sisters, however. This time, she wasn't going to. No one must know about her leaving the house to kill the Reapers. Michael met only 4 Reapers, but in reality, more than 50 Reapers had picked up the contract for his head. It was Diana who kept the Reapers from swarming Michael. Of course, she knew she couldn't keep track of every single one of them. That was why she shadowed ghosts from a distance. Even when Michael killed the 4 Reapers in a forest, and killed a Reaper on his way to Royal Land, she was always there for him in case something went wrong. Seeing her son battle people ahead of his cultivation stage reminded herself of her. She was proud, but at the same time, she was also worried. You know, I'm just excited to see him again. Imelda knew by him, Diane meant ghost. Diana hid her secret life by telling Imelda the truth instead of a lie. I hope Andrews don't get on the stage with him, Imelda sighed. They spoke in whispers so the others couldn't hear them. Not that anyone could in the cheers of the fans. Where are they anyway? Imelda looked around to locate Noah and his group. With Maisie's family, I think, Diana said. Maisie's family here? Imelda grinned with excitement. Ever since she met the cute little girl, she wanted to meet her family. Do you know Maisie hates him? Suddenly Ethan came into the conversation. He emphasized the word him. The two ladies turned their heads at the same time to look at Ethan. Now that you said it, I did notice the little girl frown when something comes up about him. Boom. 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 Just as Ethan was about to tell them what happened inside the Nether Realm, 3 loud bell sounds reverberated the arena. Immediately the crowd went silent. Welcome to the championship tournaments, a cheerful male voice sounded after the bell sounds. With this, the tournament has finally started. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 334. Soon after the voice sounded, from inside the perfectly manicured grass field, a navy blue tubular-shaped structure made of energy emerged. 3 people were sitting inside the structure. From the onlooker's point of view, it looked like a giant pill with 3 people sitting inside before a large table. On the left sat a red-haired man in his early 40s. He was neither too thin nor bulky. His cheerful smile showed his playful character. On the right side was another man who seemed to be in his early 60s. On the contrary to the red-haired man, this white-haired man had a solemn look on his slightly wrinkled face. Stuck between the two was a young girl in her mid-teens. She had dull orange eyes and her elbow-length curly, pink hair was neatly braided. The commentator pill was etched with runes that amplified their voice throughout the arena. First of all, the championship tournament committee likes to convey our deepest apologies for the postponement. The red-haired man spoke in an apologetic tone. It's not as if we went on a trip. They all know about the Void Day. The committee needed to come up with some way to determine the competitor's cultivation level, the white-haired man said without hiding his over-the-head arrogance. Gentlemen, I think we first need to introduce ourselves, don't you think? The girl let out a playful giggle before talking. Ladies and gentle, we are your commentators for both tournaments. I'm Ishihara Minako. I am James Hall, 2 times Royal Times Best Commentator Award winner, the cheery red-haired man said with a laugh. Everyone could sense the pride behind his laugh. I am Darius Russell, former Swordmaster of Aragoth. The audience began to gasp when they heard the man. No one reacted the same way as they did for Russell as they did for James, because the position of Swordmaster of Aragoth outclassed the Best Commentator award by miles. Moreover, anyone who got the Swordmaster title held a highly esteemed position in society, as even the kings would show them respect. Hence the reason for Darius' pride. Now that we introduced ourselves, let's bring the battle stage up. Darius clapped his hands together. After the runes amplified the clapping sound to the entire arena, everyone heard a loud cracking noise emerging from inside the grass field. Many people stood up to look at the grass field. They saw the grass field split open in the middle. The 2 halves of the grass field slowly retracted sideways as a spacious circular stage emerged from within. In a couple of minutes, the lush green grass field was nowhere to be seen, and replaced by a grayish round stage. The stage could easily hold 70 to 80 people without each of them feeling crowded. Before we move forward, let us explain the format of the competitions, Ishihara said in a playful voice. You ladies and gentlemen may already know, we have 2 championship tournaments. One for body strengthening stage cultivators, and one for core formation stage cultivators. Both tournaments have the same format, Swordmaster Darius. James looked at Darius to explain the format as the Swordmaster began to talk in his serious voice. The tournaments have 6 rounds, the last 3 being quarterfinal, semifinal, and grand finale respectively. 100 participants will start the tournament and fight in the first round. The second round will have 40 people, Darius said. You know what that means, ladies and gentle. Bye-bye for 60 youngsters after the first round. Hall chuckled as Darius continued. Out of 40, only 20 will go to the third round. At the end of the third round, the judges will eliminate 10 participants based on points and votes. Darius paused for a moment to let Hall speak. Due to complications during the last couple of tournaments, the tournament committee decided not to disclose any information about the judges. The judges will be anonymous, so don't try to find them, or worse, bribe them. Everyone in the arena knew his words were directed to the powerful noble families. They were the ones who would try to bribe the judges to get the youngsters of their family closer to the championship titles. In the past, the tournament committee had to spend millions of gold coins to ensure the safety of the judges as well as the integrity of the tournaments. Some noble families had even tried to kill the judges who refused to take bribes from them. I'm sure nothing terrible will happen this year. Darius, please continue, Ishihara said. 10 youngsters will enter the quarterfinal. It'll be 5 versus 5. Among the 5 winners, 1 will be eliminated according to the points given by the judges. And worry not, although it'll be the end of one's journey, he or she will receive valuable treasures as a prize for reaching or surviving he. Yet again, Hall finished his words with a chuckle. Semi-final will let only the best 2 enter the grand final. Darius finished explaining the format. The people let the information sink into their heads for a few moments before Ishihara broke the silence with her sweet melodic voice. Now it's time to go over the rules. James, she turned her gaze towards James. As the name itself suggests, the participants for the body strengthening stage tournament must be at the body strengthening stage while core formation stage participants must be at the core formation stage. James Hall explained as Darius continued. Anyone between the age of 10 to 23 can participate in the body strengthening stage tournament. Participants for the core formation stage tournament must be below the age of 30. We have arrays placed on the stage to determine one's age. If you're older than 30 and think you can participate with the help of a spell or potion, I recommend you not to unless you really want to end up like a cooked turkey. Ha ha ha. A small portion of the onlookers laughed like he was kidding, but the rest of them knew he was serious. Deadly serious. Will not bore you with the rules for each round. It'll be more interesting to go over them before the starting of each round. Boom. After James spoke, another loud booming sound reverberated the arena. The onlookers looked up at the sky to see several white-robed figures in pairs descending to the stage. Each pair was carrying a 6-foot mirror with a golden border. The closer the pairs got to the stage, the more the people could see the glowing runes on the mirrors. Unlike the runes, none of them were able to see the gears, nuts, and bolts behind the mirror. In a couple of minutes, the white-robed people brought 6 mirrors onto the stage. They gently placed the mirrors on the stage as the people tried to figure out the purpose of the mirrors. Participants for the body strengthening stage, please come to the stage and follow the instructions given by the coordinators while the participants were getting ready to hop onto the stage. Each pair of coordinators flicked their wrist as a 12-foot tall pillar beside the mirrors. The pillar was made of 10 black rocks. Each rock was separated by a thick silver lining that glowed in the light. The onlookers immediately became excited to see the young celebrities make their entrance. Can you give us a rundown on how this mirror works, Darius? I heard you were in the team that built these wonderful devices that gauge someone's cultivation level. Everyone looked at Darius after hearing James. I doubt the people will be interested in knowing how the bias law works with mirrotine runes to produce a fusion effect. It seems like we have to settle for the short version, James chuckled. When a participant places his hand on the mirror, the runes will extract a sliver of arch energy from their body. The mechanism behind the mirror will work with the runes to analyze the sliver of arch energy and light up the pillar beside the mirror. As we can all see, each pillar has 10 separated rocks. I assume each of the rocks will represent a level of one's cultivation stage, Ishihara asked. Yes, the level goes from bottom to the top. For instance, if a body strengthening stage level 3 cultivator placed his hand on the mirror, the third rock from the bottom would glow in green. The beauty of this device is, it will not only show one's level, but also show how pure the arch energy in his or her body. After Darius explained, many people gasped in startlement. The purer your arch energy is, the more powerful you are. If 2 cultivators on the same cultivation stage and level fought with the same spells, the victor will be decided by the arch energy purity, James Hall explained for the comments who had little knowledge about arch energy purity. The cultivators knew the importance of keeping their arch energy pure, as that was why nobles would go crazy for potions and pills that cleanse their bodies to make the arch energy in their body pure. Michael was making a fortune selling revitalizing pills that cleanse a cultivator's body. The purity of the arch energy was the one that separates a normal cultivator from a prodigy. This was also the reason many cultivators avoid eating meat in restaurants, and prefer to keep their bodies satiated with only arch energy instead of food. The brightness of the glow will determine one's arch energy purity. Darius finished explaining how the mirror worked as Ishihara asked a question. What would happen if someone above the body strengthening stage touched the mirror? Instead of the pillar, the mirror will let out a bright red glow, and the one touched the mirror will be detained for processing. Believe me, you don't want to violate the rules set by the committee. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 335. After all the mirrors were set on the stage, the people heard yet another loud booming sound. Following the sound, the east side door on the ground level opened as several youngsters in armor started to walk out of the door. Each of them wore a different type and color of armor. The commonality between all of them was their posture. Their chests were puffed up, head held high with grins radiating pride and ego. The crowd, their cheering, and the atmosphere of the arena kindled the pride of even those who were usually modest. There he is, Evan Clark, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star, Morning Star. The fans of Evan Clark and the Morning Star sect began to roar when they saw Evan Clark. Of course, there were disciples from other sects who were better than Evan in all ways. However, they were from the Azer continent, and the arena was filled with people from Elon. The majority of the people knew little about the prodigies of Azer. Hence, it was the stars of Elon who received a big thunderous welcome from the crowd. After Evan, another celebrity disciple walked out of the door, making many onlookers gasp for air. Victoria Parker. The crowd erupted when Victoria in her silver armor made her entrance. Her charming beauty captivated the audience. Even those who hated Golden Valley couldn't help drooling. Evan waved his hand at his fans, making them roar even louder. Victoria, on the other hand, didn't even look at the crowd as she made her way to the stairs leading to the stage. Where is Sabi? Sitting on the VIP balcony, Ethan searched the group of youngsters on the field to find his daughter. Sabrina was one of the few disciples who were competing in the tournament from a sect located in the Azer continent. Unlike the Elon continent, most of the Azer was plunged into chaos due to the ongoing war. The sects in Azer were siding with their allied kingdoms and sending disciples to the battlefield, so they could get real battle experience, as well as repel the kingdom's enemies. At this point in time, Michael was oblivious to the fact he's connected to the ongoing war. Although Sabrina wanted to win the tournament, the biggest reason for her to compete was Ghost. After Ghost saved her and her family, she had become somewhat of an admirer of Ghost. She wanted to learn more about the man who saved her and her mother in a single day. Every time she wanted to meet him, he was either in seclusion or somewhere else no one had any idea about. She didn't know what, but something made her feel closer to Ghost even though she knew little about him. Whoa, is that Sabrina Winston? Shut up, it can't be, look there. It's her, Noah Winston's little sister. If she's here, then the Holy Trident Academy is too. Sabrina. 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 The people of Kethen, especially those from Pentown, roared as their cheers for Sabrina shook the arena. The sheer support for Sabrina startled even the Winston family. Our little girl has grown, a tear of joy and pride rolled out of Imelda's eyes. They all felt proud of Sabrina. It seems like we have a great competition ahead, Darius James Hall said. I think so too. I want to see what these youngsters can do with swords, since Darius was a sword master. He was more interested in seeing the youngsters' sword mastery. So many young talents. I wish I was there with them, Ishihara said. All right, participants, please go to the stage in an orderly manner and follow the instructions given by the coordinators, James said as the youngsters stopped waving at their fans to reach the stage. Many rushed to the stage excitedly. Some even landed on the stage directly with a leap instead of climbing the stairs. Victoria Parker seems to be the first person to touch the mirror. Let's see what happens, as Ishihara commented. Victoria gracefully walked towards the mirror. Everyone else stood there watching her. Please place your hand on the mirror, miss, the man standing beside the mirror instructed. Victoria wasn't worried about the device like many others. The onlookers came to the edge of their seats to see the device working. A few seconds after Victoria placed her right palm on the mirror slightly trembled. Under their gazes, the bottom rock of the pillar glowed in green for a second before the second one started to glow. One by one the rocks let out a bright green glow until the glow reached the 8th rock from the bottom. Body strengthening stage level 8, the coordinator beside the mirror said. Whoa, she's so young. A real prodigy. She was a body refining stage cultivator just a year ago. Look how brighter the rocks are glowing. Her arch energy purity must be next level shit. The Golden Valley must be proud to have such a talented youngster among them. What do you think, Darius? James Hall asked. His voice didn't hide his surprise. Her arch energy seems to be purer than many cultivators we tested. But purity isn't everything when it comes to real battle, and this tournament will be a test for her. Darius expressed his opinion as Evan walked towards another mirror. Please place your hand on the mirror, master, the coordinator said calmly, showing no emotion on his face or voice. Just as before, a few seconds after Evan placed his hand on the mirror slightly trembled. Soon afterward, the pillars lit up to the 8th rock just like Victoria's. The brightness was also just the same as Victoria's. It indicated that the two of them were at the same level. Yet another body strengthening stage level 8. Evan Clark of Morningstar, it seems we have two cultivators with no advantages over another, Ishihara said. It will boil down to the arsenal of spells they have, and I doubt Golden Valley or Morningstay would bring them here with some run-of-the-mill spells. Evan and Victoria proudly stood aside watching the rest of them getting tested by the mirrors. One by one the youngsters placed their hands on the mirror. Except for a few, many hadn't reached body strengthening stage level 8. The majority of them were between level 4 to level 6. Those who crossed level 8 didn't get the same reaction from the audience as Evan and Victoria did, because of their purity. None of them were able to make the rocks glow as bright as Victoria and Evan. After seeing almost 50 youngsters trying to beat Evan and Victoria, All the eyes fell on Sabrina. Finally, Ethan leaned forward to see his daughter climb the stairs to the stage. The entire arena became silent. They all watched Sabrina like hawks. "Please place your hand on the mirror, Miss." Sabrina placed her hand gently on the mirror after nodding at the coordinator. The moment her hand touched the mirror, it trembled more than it trembled when Victoria or Evan touched. In a blink of an eye, the pillar lit up like a Christmas tree all the way to the 7th stone. Although she did not reach the 8th stone as Victoria or Evan, the brightness the stones let out was 3 times more than them. "Body strengthening stage level 7, the coordinator confirmed. "That's the brightest glow I've seen today." James Hall raised his brows. "She's the youngest to get into the Holy Trident Academy for a reason." Ishihara's words caused murmurs among the fans. "The pillar is an indicator she has a bright future ahead of her." Even Darius, who couldn't be easily amazed, was startled. The Winston family is really blessed to have such monstrous prodigies as their heirs. Ethan could see James Hall looking at them. "I bet Miss Sabrina's parents are really proud." For a few moments, the commentators sounded like fans of Sabrina. Victoria had black lines on her forehead seeing Sabrina taking away her spotlight. "We are." Diana turned her head to see Imelda staring at the stage with tears flowing out of her eyes. Not even Diana shed tears of pride and joy, but Imelda did. "We are proud of you, Sabrina. We are proud of you, Sabrina. We are proud of you, Sabrina. We are proud of you, Sabrina." The people of Penn Town began to chant in unison. Their thunderous cheers did not slow down until a few youngsters finished testing their cultivation level. An hour passed by in a blink of an eye. "We'll take a short break before testing the core formation participants." The trio of commentators left their pill to take a break while the participants remained on the stage to socialize. Many wanted to establish a friendship with Sabrina, but she quickly left the stage to join her family. Meanwhile, in Sarton, Michael was waiting in Lord Information's room patiently. He kept gently brushing Nightmare's head as the dragon enjoyed the rub with his eyes closed. Michael watched the door beside the book rack, expecting the elf to walk out of there with what he asked. "Here you go, Lord Ghost." As he was expecting, Lord Information came out of the door carrying a thick book. "You happen to have a book containing information about the recent events." When Michael asked Lord Information for information regarding everything that's happening in this world, he thought the elf would sell him a bunch of parchments. He never expected a 6-inch thick book. "You'd be surprised to know how many people want to know the current happenings." Lord Information slid the book towards Michael. "As you asked, it has everything, including insider information, rumors, and juicy tidbits that you might find useful." With a nod, Michael flicked his wrist as a space ring appeared on the table. 100,000 gold coins. "It's a pleasure doing business with you." Michael shook the elf's hand before turning to leave. "Lord Ghost." Michael turned back hearing Lord Information's voice. "The thing I asked, it might happen soon after the tournament ends." Lord Information seemed rather serious. "I'm looking forward to it. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments." Chapter 336. Although the commentators announced a short break, only a few left their seats. As each minute passed by, Ethan couldn't sit still. He was biting his nails when Imelda called him out. "Ethan, are you all right? You seem shaky." Diana squeezed Ethan's hand to calm him down. Unlike her, this was his first time meeting his son. "Do you see him anywhere?" he asked, leaning closer to Diana's ear. "No." "What do you mean no? You said he will come." Ethan almost shook her by her shoulder in lack of patience. "No one said otherwise. You just need to be a little more patient, Ethan." Diana calmed him down. He nodded but kept searching for the people of the Sunrise sect. It didn't even take him more than 2 minutes before he saw an entire pavilion of people wearing black clothes on the opposite side of where the VIP balcony was located. Since the arena was built in a circular shape, one could see almost everyone in the arena. Ethan would have noticed them earlier if it wasn't for Claire's orders not to cause a ruckus until they start the core formation tournament to the people of Rivertown and Sunrise sect. Because of her orders, they remained, not causing any commotion. An entire pavilion containing at least 1,500 seats was filled with ardent worshippers of the Ghost and Sunrise sect. An entire town was here to show their support to Ghost. No one had the support like Ghost had. Suddenly Imelda shouted as everyone sitting near her turned their gazes at Imelda to see a golden monkey bouncing on her head. Norvin, you almost gave me a heart attack. Imelda grabbed Norvin off her head to see the monkey grinning in the joy of pranking her. Get away from her, you damn monkey. Diana saw Alicia walking towards them with Maisie. Fergus, move your butt over there. Imelda chased away a 10-year-old kid who was chugging his juice box back to his parents. Alicia sat beside Imelda as Norvin leisurely laid on Imelda's lap. Where's Noah and Andrews? Diana looked at the way Alicia came to find Noah and Andrews, yet she didn't see them. Maisie didn't look for empty seats as she hopped onto Diana's lap. The little girl was so cute as Diana wrapped her hands around the little teddy bear to cuddle. Andrews is down there. By looking at the worried look on Alicia's face, they sighed. It seemed like Andrews wasn't backing down from competing in the tournament. Has he reached the core formation stage? Imelda whispered as Ethan leaned closer in his seat. Yes, Alicia said. Is he all right? If the committee has found something amiss with his cultivation stage, we are toast. Ethan worried about Andrews. The last time he met Andrews, he was still at body strengthening stage level 3. Even Noah just reached the core formation stage, and Noah was a freak of nature. Noah took care of everything, Uncle. Andrews is at the core formation stage now. He will suffer no side effects as you may think except for headache and feebleness for a couple of weeks. How did he do it? I'll explain everything later, Auntie. Alicia interjected Imelda's question. She didn't want to explain everything to them while people were watching them. What Noah and she did was cheat. Although Noah wasn't happy about this, he had to do it for the sake of his cousin. Is your brother with Andrews? Diana asked. The correct question would be, will he fight Andrews if push comes to shove? Everyone was thinking about it, but it was Norvin who spoke out loud. It's gonna be a good show as your brother doesn't like to lose and Andrews can't lose. Alicia had no answer to give. She knew about her brother's character. As far as she could guess, there was no chance he would lose to Andrews intentionally. However, Noah made sure Andrews had a high chance to win the tournament by striking a deal with a fusion stage cultivator, Layla Alden. Ding, ding, ding. As they were whispering, 3 loud bell sounds reverberated the arena. The muttering of the crowd was silenced down by the bells. Soon, those who went to answer nature's call came rushing to their seats. The break's over, ladies and gentlemen, Ishihara chuckled in her melodious voice. Now it's time for the core formation stage participants to wow us. Finally. Yes. Ohuho. Almost the entire arena erupted, letting out their thunderous cheers. Compared to the body strengthening stage tournament, the core formation tournament was the one everyone's more hyped out for. It was because there were many tournaments and competitions for body strengthening stage cultivators, but this was one of the very few tournaments there are for core formation stage cultivators. Celebrity disciples like Selena or Alex rarely appeared in public events. Not these two, but most of the core formation disciples tend to stay within their sect or in seclusion. The crowd constantly looked up towards the skies and the field down eagerly to see the celebrity disciples. As they were waiting eagerly, time slowly flowed by. Just as the sun had reached the middle of the sky, from the distant horizon, the clasp of thunder suddenly rumbled forth. Just as the sound of wind rang out, everyone looked up in the direction the sound came. Cultivators like Ethan could feel that all arch energy surrounding the arena was now slowly gravitating towards that direction. In the sky, they saw a bright blue flash streaking through the skies like a shooting star, descending from the heavens. The streak of blue light tore through the sky, like it was a piece of cloth. The streak of light was at least 20 times brighter and bigger than the bolts of golden lightning produced by the lightning dash spell. When that blue flash appeared on the edges of the horizon, everyone in the arena stared at it dumbstruck. Many people were amazed by the display. That's a flashy entrance. I wonder who that might be? The commentators were no different than the onlookers. They too looked at the sky with wide eyes. Under the numerous curious gazes, the blue flash broke through the skies at a ferocious speed. As the flash approached, the crowd was shocked to discover that the blue flash was actually a giant sword made purely out of arch energy. The sword flew at the speed of a jet, leaving a trail of blue light. The closer the sword got to the arena, the louder the people heard the whistling sound the sword produced. While the giant sword was slowing down, The crowd's gazes immediately fell on the figure standing atop the sword. Clothed in silver armor matching his hair with his hands behind his back. His shiny silver long hair drifted in the wind. He appeared to be extremely calm and relaxed. A look that subdued many of the competitors. The set of armor he was wearing attracted the gazes like a magnet. The armor was forged using a glimmering silver metal. The smith who forged the armor used gold to adorn the borders. The shoulder plates were pointy, quite narrow, and large. They were decorated with a star-shaped thick metal ornament piece. The upper arms were protected by rounded, half-covering rear braces which sat loosely under the shoulder plates. The lower arms were covered by vambraces which have several masterfully crafted metal sheets, shaped like dragon scales on the outer sides. The breastplate was made from many layers of smaller metal pieces, mimicking the scales of a dragon. The armor covered him from neck to feet, protecting every inch of his body. Atop the sword, the youngster slightly tilted his head down as his calm gaze swept over the arena below. He then withdrew his gaze, because there was nothing worthy of his attention in that place. Big brother Alex Fisher has arrived. Suddenly the fans of Morningstar cried out in joy, excitement and pride filled their eyes. If I'm right, conjuring a sword that size would require an extreme level of mastery in controlling arch energy. The level of mastery even the soul-refining stage cultivators lack, Darius said to James Hall. Alicia's eyes stared unblinkingly at Alex Fisher, who stood atop the sword while looking down at the arena. From the latter's gaze, she could see how little Alex thought of people below. Or perhaps it might be a type of disregard. As annoyed as she was, she knew with his strength, he did seem to possess the right to look down on people. Based on Alex's composure alone, many could not help but admit that he was indeed a rarely seen prodigy. What do you think of Alex's cultivation level, guys? Ishihara asked while Alex was floating in the sky. Definitely higher than level 5, James Hall answered. My guess would be level 8, Darius shocked the crowd with his answer. Reaching core formation level 8 at the age of 28 was a humongous feat among humans. You always like to make a flashy appearance, don't you, Alex? While the crowd was in awe of Alex, a burst of hearty thunder-like voice suddenly rumbled from the horizon. The crowd watched as a golden ray streaked across the skies, radiating a powerful aura. The golden light broke through the skies, causing the arch energy to surge, as it finally came to float in the horizon, transforming into a huge golden spear that was 12 meters long. Atop the spear stood a figure in gold armor with blonde long hair that draped over his shoulders. A domineering aura soared into the skies, as if it was a unique wild spear that towered over the land. The youngster wore extravagant golden armor. The shoulders were fairly oval, quite short and small in size, decorated with a metal dragon wing on each side, curved to the sides. The upper arms were protected by squared, half-covering rear braces which sit quite well under the shoulder plates. The lower arms were covered by vambraces which have a row of hook-like barbs attached to each outer side. The chest plate was made from one large piece of metal, but crafted to mimic the appearance of muscles. The golden armor looked sturdier than the armor Alex was wearing. The crowd stared at the figure in gold standing atop the golden spear, as envious looks were revealed on many of their faces, but none of them seemed to recognize the person as they did with Alex. Who is that? He seems just as powerful as Alex Fisher. I don't know, I have never seen him before. Let's wait for the commentators. I'm sure they will know who he is. The crowd was thrown into confusion as the sound of people murmuring among themselves grew louder and louder. Aren't you gonna wave at your brother, Alicia? Norvin asked, looking at the youngster in the golden armor. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 337. That's your brother, Peter? Ethan raised his brows. He was surprised. After engaging Alicia to Noah, the Winston family had met everyone in the Stone family except Alicia's mysterious elder brother. None of the Winstons met Peter except Noah until now. Standing 6'1" tall, Peter had smooth fair skin. If Alex was calm, Peter radiated an aura of confidence around him. A particularly notable feature was his perfect jawline. Coupled with his hazel eyes, sharp eyebrows, and clean-shaven look, he looked stunning. His medium-length golden hair danced in the wind, raising many young girls' heartbeats. I never thought you would come here, Peter. Unlike the people in the arena, Alex knew who he was. In fact, Peter was one of the few youngsters Alex respected and looked forward to battle. What can I say, boredom always gets the better of me, Peter shrugged. Pretty good spear you have. Is that an epic weapon? Upon hearing these words, many of them gasped in shock. They already knew that weapons, armors, and spells were divided into 5 categories: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. Alex's armor belonged to the rare class while Peter's spear belonged to the epic class. Even the 3 big sects had only a few epic class weapons. Alex heard rumors, but seeing a rogue cultivator like Peter having an epic class weapon surprised him. Your brother has an epic weapon, Ethan bitterly laughed in his heart. He couldn't help thinking about Ghost. He doubted his son had ever gotten a chance to touch an epic weapon. Although he supported Andrews, deep down Ethan wanted his son to win the tournament. What they did to Ghost was unforgivable, yet Ethan would do anything to win back Ghost's love. Since Noah was born, Ethan provided Noah the best while his other son grew up enduring hardships a child like him shouldn't have. Before Diana dropped the news about his other son on him, Ethan used to sleep. Nowadays, the nightmares kept him awake. Therefore, he was cultivating with full focus to get stronger. He lost his son once because of Skyhall, but he would never let that happen again. We both know the class of the weapon doesn't matter, Peter calmly said. It's the wielder of the weapon who does. Just as Peter's words faded, yet another soft chuckle slowly sounded out from the horizon. Soon after, a flash of bright green light swept over from the horizon. In a blink of an eye, a trail of green light streaked across the sky. When the green light filled the skies, the crowd swiftly cast their gazes over, only to find a majestic eagle which was dozens of meters large. It flapped its wings as it floated in the skies. An extremely formidable aura swept forth from within the eagle. A youngster wearing leather armor unlike Alex and Peter lightly smiled as he stood atop the eagle. His face was bewitchingly handsome, such that in terms of looks, even Peter was inferior. He held a deep blue fan in his hand, as he slowly fanned himself while giving off a graceful aura of nobility. Who is he? The 3rd son of Oswin family. After hearing Alicia's words, Ethan once again silently nodded his head. According to the rumors, House Kane and House Fisher were trying to forge an alliance with House Oswin through marriage. Ethan's sources were saying House Fisher is closer to sealing the deal by marrying one of the heirs of Oswin to Alex. If the alliance went through, House Fisher would become the strongest family in royal land. Coupled with Selena's family, House Fisher was on the path of domination. That's a yellow-beak king eagle. James Hall was stunned to see such a majestic creature. Not only him, but most of the people were also. Yellow-beak eagles were almost as rare as dragons. Andrew's chance of winning getting less and less. Alicia rolled her eyes. After seeing what Layla could do, she really doubted anyone had the chance to defeat Andrews. Not her brother, not anyone. Every single spell in Andrew's arsenal was enhanced by Lele Angel's Vina, which meant Andrews had the attack power of a fusion stage cultivator. Alicia could feel Layla is somewhere in the arena. She didn't know where, but she could feel her presence. Paul, to think that a busy guy like you would also join in the fun here. Hey, you've even bought your Oswin's pride, the yellow-beak king eagle. Alex as he shot a glance at Paul. I can spare a day or two. I'm pretty sure the marriage works won't come to a halt without me. Paul waved the deep blue fan in his hand and smiled slightly. Alex had a sly grin while Peter seemed to care less about the marriage between the 2 families. While these 3 were floating in the air, many core formation participants made their way towards the stage. Let's get this over with, Peter said, looking down on the stage to see the stage was getting crowded. You go ahead, I still need to wait for one more person. Alex casually smiled and said, your girlfriend? Where is she? Sorry I'm late. As Paul's voice faded, a gentle voice suddenly sounded out across the skies. That voice had a certain charm to it. Immediately, an intoxicated look appeared in the eyes of several people below. Such a beautiful girl. Many youths' minds were likewise momentarily dazed when the spirited voice sounded out. However, they quickly regained their senses, as amazement filled their eyes. Hastily lifting his head, Ethan saw a golden light sweep across the skies from a distance away before finally transforming into swirling chakra atop the golden chakra. was a wonderfully curved figure. Her brown hair glimmered, reflecting the sunlight as the red cap she wore fluted in the wind. She wore armor that made her look both formidable and sexy at the same time. Although her armor wasn't revealing, there were still some places such as the neck, a small portion of her shoulders left out by the armor, showing her smooth silky skin. She slowly floated towards Alex, standing atop the chakra before landing a gentle kiss on his cheek. Many became envious of Alex. They wanted to be him at this moment. He had everything many people yearned for: money, talent, a perfect angelic beauty as his girlfriend. Even those who hate Alex couldn't help being jealous of his life. With his arm wrapped around Selena's slim waist, he moved towards the stage. It's gonna be worth the wait to see these monstrous youngsters fight to prove who is the best among them. James Hall laughed with excitement. Just like before, follow the instructions given by the coordinators and you're good to go, Darius informed the core formation stage youngsters. Any one of the participants could have touched the mirror while Alex's group descended to the stage, yet they waited for the four of them. Ladies first, Alex gestured at Selena to touch the mirror, standing a meter in front of the mirror. Every pair of eyes in the arena stared at them without blinking. Even the commenters went silent as they found no words to speak due to the excitement building in their heart. With a graceful move, Selena placed her hand on the mirror. The moment her hand touched the mirror trembled more than it ever trembled before. Half of the pillar lit up like a Christmas tree. The green glow the pillar radiated lit up half the stage. It was so much brighter than Victoria's or even Sabrina's. Core formation stage level 5. Amazing. Ishihara let out a squeal of amazement before even the coordinators could confirm Selena's cultivation level. Reaching level 5 of the core formation stage at the age of 26 is nothing but a world-wowing achievement, James Hall announced as the crowd was thrown into chaos. Several gasping sounds could be heard in the arena as they stared at Selena with widened eyes. While they were in a state of shock, Alex placed his palm on the mirror, immediately lighting up the pillar up to 7th stone. Even Alicia was stunned by Alex's cultivation level, and the bright glow the stones radiated. Core formation stage level 7. This is freaking me out, guys. James Hall connected. It seems like we have prodigies that could go to head with prodigies of R. Darius sounded proud. Truth to be told, guys, I've never seen anyone reach the level their two youngsters reach until they were way past 30. Ishihara said. That's why I said this tournament is something special. Let's see what this youngster could do. James Hall talked, looking at Peter walking towards the mirror. Alicia leaned forward to witness her brother's cultivation level. She was pretty. He's at the level of Alex despite her brother always liked to keep everything to himself. More than anything, he loved the privacy. Because of his habit, he even avoided attending her engagement. The moment Peter's hand touched the mirror, the pillar lit up to the 6th stone, and never seen before. Half of the 7th stone glowed dimly. Up to the 6th stone though, the pillar shone just as brighter as when Alex touched the mirror. Whoa, Alicia, your brother is a prodigy too? Imelda's brows arched up. Everyone kinda expected Alex to amaze them, but they never even heard about Peter before. Hence when Peter showed his cultivation power through the pillar, it stirred more commotion than before. Alex knew although Peter fell one level lower than him, the armor and the spear in Peter's hand would make up for the difference. After Selena, Alex and Peter, the other participants waited for Paul. Like the others before, Paul too stunned the audience with his core formation stage level 6 cultivation level. Do you see him anywhere? Ethan started to lose his patience as he asked, whispering in Diana's ear. No, but he will come. Just be patient for a little longer. Diana began to fear something might have happened to him. The threat of reapers was still lingering above Ghost's head like a dark cloud after all. One by one the core formation participants proved their cultivation level to the people. None of the participants touched the mirror after the initial 4 impressed the crowd as the first 4 did. Is this gonna demotivate the other participants? I mean, after the first 4, no one has crossed core formation level 4. Can it affect the mindset of the participants in any way? Well, it shouldn't. The tournament is designed to give all participants at the body strengthening stage and core formation stage a fair chance despite the level differences. Another core formation level 3, Ishihara announced as Darius continued. The first 2 rounds test someone's combat skills. The participants are prohibited to use arch energy. So even if you are a level 10 warrior, if you solely depend on your spells and not on your combat skills, you will be eliminated. Merry Christmas, everyone. Christmas is a season of enjoying the simple things that make life beautiful. May you have great memories that will permanently touch your heart. I wish you so much joy during this season. And all through to the new year. Michael will make his appearance in the. These chapters are longer than what I usually write because I didn't want you to spend your time and coins reading chapters with no MC. But it will be worth the wait. Trust me. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 338. An hour and a half passed by in a blink of an eye. Even though nothing interesting happened, the audience was on the edge of their seats looking at the participants touch the mirrors one by one. Some of them bet whether or not someone would cross Alex's cultivation level. Among one of those who touched the mirror was Andrews. He didn't draw much attention to himself as he was only at the core formation level 2. Many tried to establish a friendship with Andrews because of his family status, yet Andrews politely ignored them with a smile before joining Sabrina, who was standing on the grass field with the rest of the body-strengthening participants. They were watching what's happening on the stage via the large mirror attached to high poles around the arena. Except for the pavilion where the Sunrise Sect disciples and the River Town people were sitting, the others poured their excitement out by waving the boards that had their favorite participants' name on, screaming chants, and clapping their hands, producing thunderous sounds. Ethan was shaking his legs, looking at the sky as well as the pavilion of the Sunrise Sect. "Uncle, are you all right?" Seeing Ethan's act differently than usual, Alicia asked. "Yeah, I'm fine. Are you all right?" Ethan quickly avoided her gaze, answering Alicia's question with a question. "The last participant is walking towards the mirror. Let's see if he could surpass either of the first 4-inch." Diana's body jerked after hearing Ishihara. She turned her gaze towards the horizon as she started to pray for her son to appear. Core Formation Level 3. Don't be discouraged, participants. As Darius said, the tournament is designed to give everyone a fair chance. Being on that stage proves your talent and value. Now let's move on to inviting the special guests, as Ishihara said. She flicked her wrist as a thunderous clap reverberated through the arena. It immediately silenced all the ruckus. The grass field behind the commentators' pills once again split open as a lavish stage draped in red silk clothes emerged from the ground. The stage had several ornate cushion seats that would make the seats of VIPs pale in comparison. Soon after the stage emerged from the ground, several figures along with 2 golden chariots appeared on the horizon. The Pegasi attached to the chariots flapped their wings majestically. Among the figures surrounding the chariots, half of them wore full-plate metal armor, while the rest of them wore muddy brown leather armor with long staffs in their hands. The metal armor the figures wore was milky white with delicate designs etched onto it. Let us give our warm welcome to His Majesty, King of Breedia, Crawford Breedia III, and Her Royal Highness, Princess of Breedia, Catherine Breedia, as Ishihara and James Hall announced respectively. The chariot came to a halt adjacent to the stage. The people stared at the 2 figures gracefully stepping on the stage from the chariot. King Crawford was neither too tall nor short. He was a medium-built middle-aged man with a black goatee that had patches of white hair. His hair was cropped to neck length. Perhaps it was his age, or perhaps it was the pressure of ruling a kingdom. Streaks of white hair sticking out of his raven-black hair. He wore a well-embellished red tunic with goldwork thread as a basic dress. On top of it was a surcoat that depicted the emblem of the Breedia family. His dress was made with the finest silk, fur and other expensive materials such as animal furs. In his hand, he held a scepter that was decorated with precious shiny gems and diamonds. It was decorated just as the king's crown was. The sword hanging on his waist gave off a warrior feeling about the king. The princess also wore a red skirt made of finest silk and fur. From neck to toe, the dress was ornate with pearls, specks of gold, and tiny gems. Her golden hair was draped with a diamond chair. She wasn't as beautiful as Selena, Alicia, or Sabrina by any means, but she had a grace that the above 3 did not have. Of course, coupled with her grace, she would make any man yearn for her attention, even for a single glance from her. Hail King Breedia! Hail Princess! Long live the king! Long live the princess! Since life in Bredia wasn't dreadful, the people, especially the commoners, didn't mind showing their support for the king and princess by cheering for them. Both the princess and the king gracefully waved their hands at the crows as the cheers became louder than before. The thunderous response put a slight smile on the king's face. Following the king's chariot, the other one also came to a halt adjacent to the stage. One after another, 3 figures stepped onto the stage from the chariot. One of them was a blue-haired youngster in his teens. He had a feminine feel to him due to his gait and the makeup he wore. His robes glimmered while the designs of flames made him look like he's on fire. It's an honor to welcome the representative of Kingdom Thusia, Lord Calvin Howard, the second cousin of His Majesty, King of Thusia, Maxim Barnes. Calvin waved his hand at the people with a giggle. After Calvin, a middle-aged man in his early 40s wearing lavish bright orange robes that were adorned with glistening gems and diamonds. The tournament committee thank you, Your Grace, Duke of Flamefair of Kingdom Kethin. Avon Jilks for representing Kingdom Kethin on the behalf of His Majesty, King of Kethin, Porter Forbes. Duke Avon was a red-haired man in his early 40s. The scar running across his left eye to upper lip gave him a villainous look. Instead of wearing an eye patch to cover his left eye, he chose to show his white eye. With his red hair flutter in the wind, he just nodded at the commentators before standing beside Calvin. "What's that bastard doing here?" Ethan clenched his fist, almost punching the seat's handle. For the last 6 months, the Duchy of Pentown and the Duchy of Flamefair were at war. It has caused them thousands of lives. Duke Marvin of Pentown was prepared for peace talks, except Duke Avon was adamant about continuing the war. As the Duke was standing here, there were soldiers dying at the border. The third and the last figure that stepped onto the stage was a muscular macho man with a handlebar mustache. Despite his simple robes and tousled hair, he had a swagger that none of them in the arena had. Evan Ethan paled in manliness compared to the man. "It's an honor to welcome you, Lord Ashton Kane of Kane family." When addressing Ashton, Darius sounded so humble as he never did before. "It's really an honor to have you with us, Lord Ashton. Only on days like this, we can see a fusion stage cultivator with our eyes. It's truly a blessing." James didn't sound like he was just saying these words to butter up Ashton, but really seemed to be talking from his heart. His reaction was expected because seeing a fusion stage cultivator was once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for most of the cultivators, unless they were at the fusion stage themselves. "The pleasure is all mine." Ashton's voice was amplified by his celestial energy as it sounded clearer and louder than the voice of the commentators. The voice swept over the entire arena like a tsunami wave, giving them goosebumps. Except for Alex and Peter, all the youngsters looked at Ashton with eyes full of admiration. After shaking each other's hands, the guests took their seats. "Shall we start the first round for the body-strengthening stage participants?" The crowd yet again let out thunderous shouts of excitement, except the fans of Ghost. "Look over there!" Suddenly the entire pavilion jumped up from their seats, pointing at the horizon. Their shouts overshadowed the others' cheers as everyone in the arena looked at the horizon. With a flick of his wrist, Ashton changed the scenery of the stage, showing on the mirrors hung around the arena to broadcast the battles happening on the stage. The moment Ashton changed the broadcast, the people saw a majestic crimson-red dragon flying towards the arena. On top of the arena, they saw a young man leisurely lying down, legs crossed at knees. He had one hand behind his head while holding a book in front of him in the other. "Ghost! Ghost!" Never like before, an entire pavilion shouted the name Ghost in unison. It was the loudest cheer no one until now received, not Alex, not Selena, and not even the King of Bredia himself. Every other disciple had their sect brothers and sisters as their fans. They were just fans. But only Michael had the sect and an entire town as worshippers. The atmosphere of the arena made everyone feel goosebumps over their bodies. None of the people in the arena blinked their eyes as they stared at the mirror and the dragon approaching the arena. His entrance was not as flashy as Alex, Selena, or Peter, but coupled with the thunderous response he got from the Sunrise sect, River Town, and the coolness of his posture turned his entrance into a badass one. When the dragon reached the sky directly above the stage filled with core formation participants, instead of descending, it flapped its wings before flying straight up. Michael slowly slid down due to the gravity, and in a few moments he was dropping down. His black coat fluttered wildly in the air, while Michael calmly closed the book in his hand in the mid-air before putting it into his space ring. The people were staring at his fall with their mouths wide open. He was still falling when Michael retrieved his 2 swords from the system storage. Everyone expected him to sheath his sword in the mid-air, but to their surprise, he threw the sword into the sky above him. His falling speed increased with each passing second as he soared down the air like a black meteor. People moved their heads down, seeing him getting closer and closer to the stage. The participants occupying the center of the stage quickly moved away to make way for him to land. In a few blinks of an eye, Michael landed on the stage like Superman. Inside Michael's head, the sound of badass point notification kept ringing like crazy as he willed the system to mute the sound. It was raining badass points. He stood up, giving a little shake to correct his long coat. Swoosh. Swoosh. Just as he stood up, the 2 swords he threw in the air flew straight down, leaving a trail of sparks in their way. Many gasped in shock when they saw the 2 swords going straight into the sheaths on Michael's back. It was unbelievable in their eyes. Even those who weren't a fan of ghosts couldn't help cheering. At the moment, almost 80% of the people in the arena were letting out thunderous cheers, and the remaining were too stunned to open their mouths. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 339. Under the thunderous cheers of his fans, Michael made his way towards a mirror. The commentators remained speechless, letting the crowd cheer as loud as they could. They didn't need to introduce him. The fans did that task for them. Coincidentally, Alex and Selena were standing beside the mirror, while Peter was a few meters ahead of the mirror Michael was walking towards. Peter had an indifferent look on his face. Michael ignored the gazes on him. Honestly, I never expected to see a 5-star alchemist here, James Hall said after being silent for some time. Yeah, the alchemists I know are pretty focused on the upcoming Alchemy Championship, and none of them are here to participate in a tournament for warriors, Ishihara said while Michael was walking towards the mirror. The cheers were still going thunderous, yet the commentators' voices reached everyone's ears with the help of special runes crystal clear. Despite being late, Michael wasn't in a rush to get his cultivation tested. Thanks to the spider on Cindy's neck, he had seen everything and was ready to rock the arena. Standing a meter away from the mirror, Michael saw Selena coldly looking at him. Alex seemed surprised, but he hid his expression while putting an indifferent look on his face like Peter. I will make you pay. Before Michael could touch the mirror, Selena coldly said. Only those standing near them heard her voice, only to be startled by her threat. They stared at Michael with wide eyes, wondering what he did to deserve Selena's threat. Are you sure? Michael snickered as he put his hand on the mirror. The moment he put his hand on the mirror, the entire arena stopped cheering. The excitement prevented them from uttering a word. SSSSSHHHHHHH. Unlike never before, the mirror Michael touched violently trembled. Those who stood closer to the mirror even heard the mirror producing a faint whistling noise. The coordinates immediately grabbed the mirror by its both sides to keep it still as the entire pillar beside the mirror lit up like a Christmas tree. There wasn't a single spot that didn't glow in the pillar. From top to bottom, the pillar radiated bright sparkling green light. Oh my God! It can't be. Level 10. Several gasps could be heard in the arena. In the VIP area, Ethan stared at Michael without even batting an eye. He felt a cocktail of emotions surging from deep within. Joy, sorrow, pride, self-blame, and shame. That is my son, Ethan mumbled under his breath. The teensy bit he had about Ghost being his son was wiped away from his mind when he saw him. Ghost looked exactly like Diana when she was Harriet Hunt. The black dress, 2 black swords, the swag, the attitude, everything about Ghost reminded him of Harriet Hunt. Core formation level 10. Guys, are you seeing this? Ishihara almost shouted in shock. No one remained calm or indifferent looking at the glowing pillar. The badass points were rapidly increasing, crossing 300,000 points. Ashton's lips curved upwards as he knew the odds of Alex getting killed by Michael's hands just increased out of bounds. The king, on the other hand, slightly leaned forward, focusing all his attention on Ghost. If my guess is right, He can break through to the core strengthening stage anytime he wants. Darius' words sent a wave of shock to everyone's minds. Reaching core formation level 7 at the age of 27 was a humongous thing in their minds. Hence, they couldn't even believe what they were looking at. How old is he? James Hall's eyes opened as wide as they possibly could. His eyes looked like they were about to jump out of the sockets. Whoosh! As James Hall's question made everyone wonder about Michael's age, Nightmare came straight down, soaring through the sky. Nightmare shrunk his size before letting out his dragon breath up in the sky. Everyone became agitated seeing the dragon breathe, as the soldiers on the king's stage immediately stepped forward to protect the king. Soon, Nightmare's dragon flame formed the number 21 in the sky. Do you think the dragon is answering my question? James Hall asked. I think so. Let's ask his sect leader herself. Ishihara moved her gaze from the flaming 21 from the sky to Claire, who was joyfully clapping her hands. No one would believe Claire, but she really thought Ghost would be stronger than Alex or any other prodigies in the arena because she knew him more than anyone here knows him. In her mind, he was the number 1, not Alex nor Selena. The disciples turned their gazes at Claire after hearing Ishihara's question. Every pair of eyes fell on Claire, expecting her answer. Yes, he is. Claire amplified her voice with arch energy to sound louder and clearer. With a flap of his wings, Nightmare soared towards Claire, shrinking his size more and more. Ghost! 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 The people of Rivertown and the disciples shouted as loud as they could. When Michael saluted at the pavilion with 2 fingers, the crowd went crazy. His alluring smile broadcasted on the mirror captivated hundreds of young hearts. Standing on the field down the stage, Sabrina was clapping to show her support. She never thought she would be amazed like this by someone who isn't her sibling. Contrary to Sabrina's expression, Andrews lost all the glow on his face. His heart skipped a beat as he started to sweat. Although he had a fusion stage cultivator helping him win the tournament, he couldn't help being afraid of Ghost. Even Noah advised him to be careful if he had to fight Ghost head-to-head. He's really good. In one of the VIP pavilions, Peyton and Zanali were looking at the stage. Peyton didn't like Ghost very much as he was the first one to reject an invitation to join Guardian Guild, yet even she praised him. Reaching core formation level 10 at the age of 21. This should be written on history, Ishihara praised. I could only think of 2 persons who managed to reach this level at the age of 21. One is a prodigy of our continent, Harriet Hunt. The name sent a chill running through Imelda's spine. The name Harriet Hunt had brought them enough pain. She never wanted to hear the name again. Being Harriet Hunt had caused Diana a lifetime of pain. Imelda knew this better than anyone. Moreover, the name brought back the memories Imelda wanted to forget completely. The images of what happened 21 years ago flashed across her eyes. Diana thought she knew what happened, but in reality, only Imelda knew what really happened all those years ago. She was afraid of telling Diana, because she didn't want Diana to feel betrayed by her own sister. And the other is Layla Alden, the wielder of Angel's Vina. Just like the name Harriet Hunt depraved the delight from Imelda's heart, the name Layla Alden messed with Michael's joy in his heart. Every time Michael thought about Layla, the possibility of him having a spirit child with her, and her intention of killing him flashed across his mind. These are all great kids, talented prodigies. But he has the best chance of entering the fusion stage at the age of 40. Darius said to his fellow commentators. Michael liked the refreshment of the commentators flattering him. It helped him earn more badass points. He hoped their voice would be muted during battle though. The pillar slowly lost its glow after Michael took back his hand. Finally, the coordinators could let go of the mirror as it stopped trembling. Michael looked at Alex and Selena with a smile on his face. No one saw the meaning of his smile, or the real intention behind it. Only Alex could feel the murderous glow in his eyes. Until this moment, Alex wasn't afraid of Ghost. However, after seeing his power and the murderous gleam in his eyes, he started to feel afraid deep inside. He turned back to move away from the mirror. While he was walking away, his eyes met with Peter. For a brief moment, Peter saw a smile on Michael's face that sent a chill through his spine for no reason. It felt like Ghost knew his secret that he's been hiding from everyone else. I think that's the last of the core formation participants, guys, Ishihara said. Let's have a short break before starting the first round of Body Strengthening Stage Championship, James Hall informed. Meanwhile, the core formation participants can join your sex or families and enjoy the show. After Darius spoke the words, the three commentators stood up and left their pill. With a swift jump, Michael leaped into the sky, slowly flying towards the pavilion Claire was sitting on. Since he had almost 400,000 badass points, he decided to upgrade his spells before the battle began. Most of the core formation participants were rushing to their mentors to form a plan against Ghost, including Paul. Up until Michael showed his cultivation level, the biggest threat for anyone winning the championship was Alex and Selena. Then they added Paul and Peter to that list. However, they all paled in comparison after Michael came into the picture. The biggest threat to every single one of them was Ghost. Meanwhile, on the stage, King of Breedia leaned closer to Lord Ashton. Lord Ashton, what do you think of Ghost? Do you think he will win this tournament? The king asked in a husky voice. Lord Ashton knew everything about the king's plan to marry the princess to the winner, although the king himself planned to keep it a secret until the end. However, Lord Ashton pretended like he don't know anything about the king's plan. Unless the participants gang up on him during the first 2 rounds and eliminate Ghost, he will win the championship without breaking a sweat. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 340. Time flew differently in the Fire Realm than in the rest of the world. Gaia lost track of time while moving towards the Fire Realm's center. She grew tired of killing the fire demons and beasts roaming in the realm, especially the 3-headed black crows. The 3-headed crows were abundant in the Fire Realm. They had very powerful combat strength and abilities that few people could guard against. A level 2 core formation 3-headed crow was more than enough to fight a level 6 core formation human warrior. However, since its opponent was Gaia, it couldn't exercise all the advantages it had. Usually, they would use their speed to hunt their prey. In Gaia's case, her arrows were faster than the crow. The only thing that stopped her from massacring every beast and crow in her path was that she had only a finite number of arrows. Hence she fought some while fleeing from many, though she could have easily killed them all. She didn't forget to get the cores after killing them, as she wanted to give them to Michael. Caw. Look, another one. Noticing another 3-headed crow chasing them from behind, Iag warned Gaia. At first, when she brought Vidora with her, she thought they might become a hindrance, but she was proven wrong. They were great companions, best lookouts. More than anything, they cared about her, just like Michael or Nightmare. Of course, each of the 3 had their own way of showing their affection, but Gaia knew deep down they loved her. Let's move our asses before it brings more of its ugly friends. Gaia fastened her pace. Kill it, it's calling its friends. Iag shouted loudly. Yes, you have to kill it. Cain did not shout, he was calm as usual. Caw. The crow shouted out loudly again. Fuck this. Gaia halted her steps as the bow materialized in her hand. In a blink of an eye, she fired an arrow from her bow that soared through the air and pierced the crow's heart. Unlike before, she didn't linger around for the crow to hit the ground, so she could collect the core. She immediately fled the place because she knew the crow's group wouldn't be very far. A flock of 3-headed crows was really frightening. They were incredibly fast, and they were extremely difficult to kill. Gaia could fight 1 or 2, but if the flock of 8 or 9 came, her life would really be in danger. If not for the true dragon flames, it would be at least 10 times more difficult for them to escape from the trap. They had no idea how many 3-headed crows lived in this area. The entire woods was probably their territory. Also, these 3-headed crows were actually calling for their mates. If all of a sudden more than 100, or even 1,000 3-headed crows would storm in, she would have a hard time dealing with the situation. Besides, she still had no clue about how dangerous Fire Realm truly was. If there was even core strengthening stage level 8 or 9 3-headed crow among the herd, there was no chance of her defeating that thing. Therefore, the best strategy right now was to run away from here. After she had fled a small distance from the scene, they heard some distant cries coming out. All of a sudden, the skies above were filled with 3-headed crows. All of them flapped their wings and started crazily chasing Gaia. The leading 3-headed crow had a gigantic body, and was at least 15 meters tall, and its cultivation base was as Gaia feared, core strengthening stage level 2. "Oh my god!" Ayag exclaimed. "So many crows, good thing we ran away." "Save your breath and increase your speed. These crows really live in a group. I think there are more of them," Kane warned Gaia. Gaia pushed all the arch energy to her legs to run as fast as she could. Instead of flying, she used the woods as her cover. Even then, the crow seemed to have sensed Gaia's presence. "Why do I feel like he's chasing us?" Ayag asked. "I don't think he will chase us forever. As long as the group stays behind, we'll be fine." She learned to be calm from Michael. Just like him, she wanted to take any tense situation calmly without overreacting. The last time she lost control of her anger, it almost drove her to the point she fought Ghost. Ayag kept cursing as she was staring at the crow from Gaia's shoulder. Ayag felt shameful to run away from an ugly crow like that. Compared to Kane or Sarba, she took more pride in being a Hydra, an otherworldly being. Unlike the core formation crows, the core strengthening stage crow was incredibly fast, and it was only because they left the area sooner they were able to run away from the crow. The three-headed crow kept chasing while letting out furious roars. Its eyes were fierce, and it kept spitting black poisonous mist from its mouth, which took the shape of a sword and pierced towards Gaia. However, the canopy above Gaia blocked the swords. Keep pissing me off. Once we are far away from your ugly friends, I'm gonna rip you apart," Gaia gritted her teeth. "You want to kill it?" Ayag was surprised. She had never seen Gaia battle a core-strengthening stage beast before. Unlike Nightmare or Ghost, Vidora only had little idea about her combat prowess. Yeah, the power gap between a core formation stage and core strengthening stage is huge, but that doesn't mean core formation warrior can't beat the latter ever. With good plan and strategy, we can kill this damn crow. She had a meticulous mind when it comes to battle because of her years of adventuring and battle experience. Even when she was in the middle of a fight, she could easily get hold of her and his enemy's advantages and disadvantages, and come out with a plan to win the fight. Just like Michael, she never fought a battle where she is uncertain about the outcome. Caw. The three-headed crow kept letting out furious roars. It was furious as it kept attacking from behind. The powerful energy coming from his body had scared off a lot of nearby glass wraiths and fire demons. As for the group of three-headed crows, they were ditched far behind, and couldn't be seen anymore. "I don't think he will stop chasing us unless we kill him," Sarba said. "Just let it come. We'll show him that he just made the biggest mistake of his ugly life." A grin emerged on Ayag's face. Fire Realm was a really huge place. They ran another 100 miles. Yet they were still in the same desolated area. Gaia estimated that the huge group of three-headed crows wouldn't catch up anytime soon. Or they might have even stopped pursuing. So she stopped and stood firmly. As long as the core strengthening stage crow was far away from the three-headed crow's territory, she felt safe. The three-headed crow became startled upon seeing that the human and dog had stopped fleeing. In her mind, a human should have kept running for their lives. It was really abnormal for her to suddenly stop, as it meant death. Caw. Nonetheless, the crow didn't care so much. It dived down through the canopy towards Gaia to kill her with a single stab with its beak. "You three, stay here." Gaia gently picked up Vidora from her shoulder to put them high on a branch. "Hey, you have an attack plan?" Sarba asked as the crow got closer and closer. "I have a plan." Gaia turned back, putting her bow back inside her space ring. She looked up at the falling leaves and broken branches. Attack! She unleashed her energy as countless golden specks of light enveloped her body completely, causing the air to tremble and ripples to spread across the scene. The bright light made Vidora close its eyes for a brief moment. When they opened their eyes, there was a gigantic 8 feet tall 10 feet long snake standing in front of them where they saw Gaia a moment ago. The snake was covered in shiny dark purple scales. It was Gaia's real form, the Naga form that resembled a cobra. "Poison cloud." Gaia hissed. A voice remained the same despite her transformation. A thick jade green mist of poison came rushing out of her mouth. In a few seconds, the green cloud of smoke enveloped the woods before Gaia. Boom. Finally, the crow landed just a few meters away from Gaia. However, its eyes went wide in shock seeing her full form. Due to the branches hitting the crow's eyes while it was flying through the canopy, It didn't see her transform or release poisonous clouds. The poison had already gone into the crow's body when it inhaled the air. Caw, caw. The crow tried to call its friends, but all that came out of its mouth was rough coughs. Gaia immediately slithered towards the crow. Although Gaia was fast, the crow still managed to react to her moves despite the poison spreading in its body. However, it was not the open sky for the crow to fly around freely. The canopy and the thick woods restricted its movements, but for Gaia, the surroundings were an advantage compared to the crow. Look out! Ayag couldn't help shouting when the crow tried to attack Gaia's eyes using its claws. Boom! Suddenly a powerful blast of sonic wave hit the crow. It wasn't powerful enough to knock down the crow, but it was powerful enough to blast every single feather the black crow had. In a blink of an eye, the crow turned into a featherless rosy bird. Gaia was stunned, yet she avoided turning back at Fedora. Caw. The crow was pissed off as it let out an eardrum-tearing shout. Poison flame. Before it could shout again, Gaia spat a stream of dark green flame through her mouth. The fire shot straight into the crow's eyes as Gaia's fangs grew larger. In the speed of lightning flash, she bit the crow in the skin just above its wings. Since the crow didn't have any feathers, her fangs penetrated the crow's skin without any resistance. I guess I have some awesome powers. As the light in the crow was slowly dimming out, Ayag said to her two brothers excitedly. Michael chapter next Michael chapter. Gaia chapter. Gan, do you guys and gals want me to release MG? One Michael chapter then Gaia then Michael? Or MMMMGGGGG? If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 341. Michael landed on the pavilion where the river town people and disciples were cheering excitedly for him. In the front two seats, he saw Claire and the elders were clapping with bright smiles on their faces. Even the usually calm and composed elder Sandra was greeting him with a wide grin. Brother Ghost. You are at level 10. Brother Ghost, you're so awesome. The other sects are gonna be so pissed, ha 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 ha. The disciples were too excited. Not a single disciple remained in their seats. All of them were jumping up and down waving the name boards with Ghost's name on it in the air. Brother, come here, Cindy called him, sitting on Claire's lap. On Claire's right side, the elders remained seated while on her left, there was an empty seat reserved for Nightmare. Next to Nightmare's seat sat Olivia, Ricky, and several disciples who were in the sect longer than anyone else, the seniors. Seeing Michael approaching, Nightmare flapped his wing to launch himself in the air. Let me get that, Master Ghost. Ricky quickly came to him and removed Michael's dual sword sheath so Michael could comfortably rest on the chair until the first round for core formation warriors starts. Thank you, Ricky, Michael said after giving his swords to Ricky. He then made his way to the seat. Teacher, are you even a human? When Michael sat, Olivia asked. Instead of answering, he just gave her a smile. What took you so long? Claire's voice was mixed with giggles and concern. I came here as soon as I wanted to. Did I miss anything interesting? It depends on what you call an interesting, teacher. Olivia looked at the stage where the guests were sitting on an elevated stage on the field. Michael immediately recognized Lord Ashton. Both Michael and Ashton locked their eyes, without uttering a word. Each of them just nodded, wordlessly reminding them about their agreement. Who are they? Except for Ashton, Michael didn't recognize the others. That's His Majesty King Bredia and Her Royal Highness Princess Catherine, Olivia said in a low voice, looking at the king and the princess. Then she turned her gaze at the red-haired man. Sitting right to the king is His Grace Duke of Flamefair, Avon. Michael took a long look at the man. He was on Lucifer's hit list because of the slave mines. After seeing the state of Arya's two brothers, he wanted to know what kind of experiments they were doing in the slave mines. Unfortunately, the place was too dangerous for Michael to infiltrate at that time, and he had too many things on his plate. If a normal being suffered what Arya's brothers suffered, they would have died, but something kept them alive. Michael was curious to find out more about it. It wouldn't take a genius to figure out Duke Avon has a hand in the slave mine operations. Michael wasn't looking to play Good Samaritan by cleaning up the slave mines, but had a gut feeling that the slave mines might give him something useful. That man with a mustache is Lord Ashton. He's an elder of the Kane family. A frickin' fusion stage cultivator. He could feel the shock in her heart through her voice. Oh. Michael pretended to be surprised. Who is that blue hair? Michael quickly asked before Olivia went into details about Ashton because she seemed like she had a lot to talk about Ashton and fusion stage. Lord Calvin, he's here representing Kingdom Thusia. The moment Michael heard the word Thusia, he gritted his teeth. A sudden explosion of anger erupted in his heart like a boiling volcano. The flashes of the sanctuary burning, Abra's life, the smiles of the elders, the good memories, the betrayal of the princess, everything flashed across his eyes. For the first time in a long time, Michael sweated because of anger. He had a difficult time controlling his anger. Since the soul piece of Abras had merged more with Michael's part, the pain he experienced was so intense. In his mind, he didn't feel like someone else was betrayed but himself. "Teacher, are you all right?" Olivia noticed Michael sweating and shivering. "Brother." Ghost Cindy and Claire turned their concerned gazes at Michael. "Yeah, it's just him feeling hot." Michael wiped the sweat off of his forehead with his hand. "Do you need something, teacher?" No. Michael's voice turned cold as it sent a chill running through Alvia's spine. Claire and Nightmare, who was sitting on Claire's lap with Cindy, could literally feel a sudden coldness around them. Boom. 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 Michael's train of thoughts was suddenly interrupted by the loud bell sounds. He took the gaze away from Calvin to see a translucent red chakra rotating above the battle stage. Since the coordinators had already taken the pillars and mirrors, the stage was empty. This year, the two tournaments will be conducted parallel instead of one after another. That means, after finishing one round of the body strengthening stage tournament, the round for core formation will start, so on and so forth. James Hall's voice reverberated through the arena. The first round of the body strengthening stage will now begin. The competitors, please step onto the stage. Michael saw youngsters in various armors jump onto the stage one by one and group by group. It took only a few more minutes before the stage got crowded with youngsters. Following the youngsters, a couple of coordinators arrived on the stage. "Please stay still." The coordinator's voice too had the same volume as the commentators, so everything heard them loud and clear. No one dared to act otherwise after hearing the coordinator's instructions. They remained still as the chakra above them started to glow brighter and brighter before several orbs of red, green, yellow, and blue flew down from the chakra to the participants. The 4 colors of orbs of lights landed on each participant's body. In a blink of an eye, a thin layer of light enveloped the participants' bodies. Some of them had a blue layer, some of them had green, the rest of them had yellow and red. If you are wondering or counting still, there are 25 participants covered in each color. Those who have the same color layer would battle to be qualified for the next round, Ishihara explained. The rules of the first round are simple. You just need to eliminate the other participants by knocking them out or throwing them out of the battle stage. The last remaining 10 will be qualified for the next round. Each elimination will earn you a point that will be used in the later rounds to rank you and save you from elimination. Darius explained the rules to the participants as well as the audience. Those who attend the championship tournaments were familiar with the rules, yet the commentators would explain the rules for people like Michael who never witnessed a tournament before. And when the round begins, your arch energy will be blocked by the chakra above you, making you temporarily lose your cultivation power. As mentioned before, this round is designed to test your combat prowess without arch energy. You are also prohibited to take any kind of potions or pills during the battle. Taking alchemy drugs will result in disqualification and banned from participating in any tournaments that will take place in Elon in your future. Darius' words immediately caused a commotion among the participants as well as the crowd. Michael frowned after listening to Darius. He was expecting him to talk about the armor the participants were wearing, yet Darius didn't seem to have anything to talk about armors. He tried to sound like the committee wants the tournament to be fair, but there was nothing fair about battling a participant covered in unbreakable armor like Alex. Those who couldn't afford to wear armor such as Alex or Peters were clearly at disadvantage. Of course, Michael was not planning to raise his voice against this unfairness. As far as he was concerned, being born poor wasn't one's fault, but living and dying as one is. Michael could have easily bought or hired a dwarf to forge him an armor, but he chose not to because he had APD that could inject him with healing potions, strength enhancers, and the system. Wearing armor like Alex would certainly restrict his both hand-to-hand combat and sword skills. Now it's time for us to decide which group should battle first, and who is better to decide this other than His Majesty. Ishihara let out a sweet laugh as an orb of white light appeared from the chakra before floating towards the king. Your Majesty, please place your hand on the orb, choosing a color among red, blue, green, and yellow. Under the gazes of thousands of people, the king gracefully placed his hand on the floating orb before him. In a few blinks of an eye, the white orb radiated bright blue light. Blue team it is. The rest of the participants, please return to your places and return to the stage when it's your turn. Among the participants who remained on the stage, Michael spotted 3 familiar faces. They were Evan, Victoria, and Sabrina. After realizing 3 celebrity disciples were going to fight each other, Michael got slightly interested in watching the battle. The remaining 25 disciples prepared themselves to fight. Some of them formed small groups of 3 quickly after murmuring among themselves, while Sabrina, Victoria, Evan, who had the utmost confidence in their abilities, remained alone without forming any sort of alliance with the others. The battle will begin after the 3 bells. Prepare yourselves, people. You're in for a ride. After seeing the overwhelming response to my last question about the release order, I have decided to go with MMGG format, so the battles will not be interrupted and make you go crazy on the author. The following tournament chapters will be focused on Michael, and filled with action you've been waiting for. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 342. Sabrina. 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 Evan, Victoria, Victoria, Victoria. The overexcited fans of the celebrity disciples were screaming till their throats hurt. Michael's pavilion was silent. He was sitting on his seat calmly reading the book he bought from Lord Information. For merely 50 badass points, he changed the look of the book and the content inside. If others looked over Michael's shoulder, they could read about the intricacy of building a business empire. Taking his eyes away from the book, Michael looked at the stage to see 15 people remaining. All of them were heavily breathing. Even Sabrina, who seemed like having an easy time, had sweat drops on her forehead. Evan was bleeding in the corners of his mouth, while Victoria had a small cut on her forearm. It's getting interesting, isn't it? Who's gonna be the last remaining 10-inch? Ishihara asked. Among those remaining on the stage, Sabrina is holding the higher number of elimination by throwing the participants off the stage. She had eliminated 4-inch. Michael listened to James Hall comment. Evan stands next to her after eliminating 3 participants by knockouts, and Victoria holds the record of 2 elimination by knockout, and 1 by throwing off the stage. Look out! Suddenly everyone's gaze turned at Evan when he shouted. The runes and the arrays placed on the battle stage really drew Michael's attention. They amplified the voices of participants to make the crowd hear what they were talking about while battling. On the stage, participants could hear the crowd cheering, but not the commentators talking. Michael saw Evan shouting at Victoria as a bulky muscular mountain running towards Victoria like a crazed rhino. Michael could hear the loud thud noise as he was running towards Victoria. Somewhat thinking about Victoria gonna get thrashed put a smile on Michael's face. However, when the man was just about to spear Victoria, Evan threw himself in the path, pushing Victoria away from the man's path. Boom. When the man clashed with Evan, their collision produced a loud booming sound. Whoa, that's outta hurt, James Hall said. Evan. Victoria lost her composure when she saw Evan getting knocked down by the bulky man. The other participants quickly turned their focus on Evan. It was an amateur move that was capitalized by Sabrina. She suddenly pounced at a nearby participant. When he felt a gush of wind, it was too late, as Sabrina threw him out of the stage with a powerful punch to his chest. On the other hand, Michael saw Victoria throw herself at the muscular man with enough force to make him stumble down. While the coordinators came to check whether Evan was knocked out or not, Victoria was punching the muscular man sitting on top of him. Knockout, the coordinators gestured at the crowd after seeing Evan's unconscious body. Idiot, Michael sighed before putting his focus on the book again. After 3 hours of the body strengthening stage first round and a break, They finally began the first round for the core formation participants. Core formation participants, please come to the stage, Michael heard Darius' voice. Good luck, brother Ghost. Kick their ass, Ghost, Elder Reiner shouted excitedly. Ghost, 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 Ghost. Under the showering cheers of the pavilion, Michael flew out of there towards the stage. Just like Michael, Alex and Selena too received thunderous cheers. After all, they both belong to Morningstar, one of the biggest sects in Elon. The sun has already fallen into the horizon, yet the lights above them kept the arena as bright as a day. As Michael reached the stage, he saw thousands of eyes landing on him. There were several unknown faces that stood beside him, keeping their distance from him for some reason. No one dared to form an alliance or even talk to him. For them, he was one of the biggest threats that stood in the way of winning the tournament. Michael couldn't care less about what they thought. As far as he was concerned, he was going to win this thing. Ghost. Suddenly, while the participants were gathering on the stage, Michael heard someone calling his name. Michael looked in the direction of the voice to see Andrews walking towards him. Despite Andrews' worried, dull face, Michael immediately recognized him and greeted him with a smile. Andrews Winston. Michael firmly shook Andrews' hand. I never expected to see you here. The last time I saw you, you were still at Boyd's strengthening stage level 1 and on the verge of dying. Thank you for saving me, Ghost. I just wished I got the chance to thank you under different circumstances. Michael noticed Andrews' eyes move towards the princess. Everyone looked at the princess, but there was something different in the way Andrews looked at her. Then Andrews stood there beside Michael, watching the fans in front of them. I need to win this, Ghost. Andrews' voice sounded so serious. Then you shouldn't hold back anything, Andrews. Michael turned his head to look at Andrews. Because I want. Andrews couldn't help feeling a chill running through his spine. Hold still, everyone. As Michael turned his gaze away from Andrews, the coordinators instructed them to hold still. Since they were on the stage, Michael couldn't hear what the commentators were talking about. Ethan, Imelda, and Diana felt their heartache seeing Ghost and Andrews preparing to fight each other. Although it might be inevitable, they still didn't want the two of them to end up in the same group and fight each other. Imelda closed her eyes, praying to the gods to put Michael and Andrews in different groups. Michael looked up at the chakra to see it rotate faster and faster before sending light orbs down. The very next moment, Michael felt a warm sensation as he looked at his hand to see a red translucent layer covering it. The participants soon looked at the stage where the king was sitting. Just like during the body strengthening stage round 1, they saw a white orb traveling towards the stage, but this time, it flew straight to Ashton. It was Ashton's end of the deal to make Michael and Alex fight each other, as Michael had no control over the chakra to make it possible. Hence, Ashton had to do something to put Alex with Michael. In a blink of an eye, the white orb of light turned red when Ashton touched the orb. Michael cracked his neck, preparing himself for the round. He looked around and saw Andrews had a blue light, Alex and Selena had a yellow light, while Peter and Paul had green light layers on them. Well, this is disappointing, Michael sighed inside. If a celebrity disciple ended up in the same group as him, he could have beat the hell out of them to earn even more badass points. But when he looked at the red-layered participants, he noticed all of them looking at him. The green, yellow, and blue-layered participants can now leave the stage and enjoy the battle until your turn comes. Michael heard Ishihara's voice as the other participants started to leave the stage. Good luck, Ghost. Andrews was well-mannered enough to utter these words before leaving. Michael was walking to the center of the stage when he heard a cold female voice coming from behind. You will pay for everything. Michael didn't even need to turn back to recognize the person. It was a very familiar voice. Still, Michael turned back with a cold smile to see Selena and Alex looking at him. Oh, I am planning to. Michael knew what he said would have reached everyone's ears, but he didn't care because today, Alex will die. Michael didn't feel any pity for killing Jane, and he would certainly not feel any pity killing Alex. It seemed like fate wanted Michael to take away Selena's loved ones one by one. No weapons, only hand-to-hand combat, the coordinators reminded them before taking off into the sky. They floated several meters above in the sky, watching over the participants on the stage. Ghost, 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 Ghost. The fans of Michael kept cheering as loud as they could. Their thunderous cheers reverberated the arena. For a moment, Michael closed his eyes, mentally blocking all the noises to put full focus on the battle before him. He felt a warm sensation running from his head to toe. He knew it was the runes scanning him for any potions or runes on his body to enhance his traits like strength or speed. The system made sure the APD wouldn't be detected by any scans. Waiting for the coordinator's signal to begin the battle, the participants surrounded Michael, forming a circle around Michael. In the VIP pavilion, Ethan leaned closer, seeing Ghost getting surrounded by the participants. "It is not fair," he said. "It makes sense for them to eliminate the highest threat first." Norvin, the Golden Bobru, said while eating an apple casually. 1 versus 24, huh? Then everyone heard Michael's calm voice. Ethan didn't see a tiny bit of fear or worry on his face. On the contrary, Ghost remained in the center with a calm smile. "Guys and gals, we can either do this the easy way or the hard way," Michael said, looking at the youngsters before him. "You are in no position to say that." Ghost Humph, a fully plated armor-wearing participant, snickered. He even covered his head with a metal helmet that looked like the helmet of Thor. Ignoring the youngster's words, Michael said, "The easy way: you 24 can fight among yourselves and eliminate 15 people yourselves." Ethan's eyes went wide hearing the words coming out of Ghost's mouth. If Ethan didn't know Ghost was his son, he would have said Ghost is the most arrogant guy he had ever seen. "I don't know if he's being serious or kidding," James Hall said. "You might be a genius, but at this moment, you're just like the rest of us." The youngster in armor took several steps towards Michael as the others followed him. Little by little, the circle of people was getting closer to Michael. "You clowns really think taking away my cultivation would make me you? Ha ha ha!" Michael burst into cold laughter. "Get him!" Michael's words instantly made them snap as pouring petrol into a fire. They all rushed towards Michael in all directions. The first one to reach Michael was the armored youngster who trash-talked him. He threw his fist, aiming at Michael's face to knock him out with a single punch. However, Michael evaded the punch while grabbing another youngster by his leather shirt. In lightning-fast movements, Michael tore the leather shirt and sent him away into the crowd with a swift kick. His training with Gaia and the fighting technique gave him inhumane speed even without the arch energy. The armored youngster never expected Michael to move that fast. Before the guy could react, Michael tied his arms around his back using the leather shirt he had just torn off. No matter how much metal armor he wore, with his hands tied behind his back, the youngster posed no threat to Michael. When the crowd came too close, Michael grabbed the armored youngster by his neck and used him as a center pole, kicking the crowd in a circle like in the Matrix movie. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 343. Everyone was stunned to see Michael fighting 24 participants at the same time. Since they decided to gang up on him, Michael didn't feel bad about using APD to lessen the pain and heal any internal wounds. After using the armored youngster as a pole for a couple of minutes, Michael lifted him up, deciding to use the youngster as a weapon. He swung the armored youngster in a circle, pushing the participants off balance. "It's time for some elimination." Finally, Michael got some distance from the participants. He said to himself, wiping off the blood from the corner of his mouth. Of course, he received several blows from the youngster. After all, 24 adrenaline-rushed youngsters ganged upon him from all directions. Several youngsters tried to pick themselves up from the ground while some remained, thinking whether to use this moment to eliminate unsuspecting participants or not. Either way, Michael had some time as he walked towards the armored youngster who was lying on the ground trying to rip off the leather shirt that tied his arms. "Arg, you bastard!" Seeing Michael walking towards him, the armored youngster frantically wiggled to get himself out of the bind. "Next time, pick the easy way." Like the youngster was weighing nothing, Michael easily lifted him by the gap between the youngster's chin and chest. Puck. Arg puck. 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 Diana felt her sister squeezing her hand, looking at Ghost brutally beating the armor-wearing youngster. The big screens broadcasted the bloodied face of the younger, and the blood oozing out of the youngster's face. His face turned into a bloody pulp of mess. Imelda couldn't get herself to look at the big screens. Even Ethan was shocked by the brutality Ghost was exhibiting. He never expected to be so brutal. Unlike Diana, he never saw his son go on a bloodthirsty rampage. What stunned Ethan more was the expressionless face of Ghost. He didn't even flinch when beating the life out of the youngster. "Coordinators, please hurry before he kills that poor boy," James Hall reminded the coordinators who were floating above the battle stage. The participants who were witnessing Michael's brutality felt a chill running through their spines. For a moment, they just remained still waiting for the coordinators to stop Ghost. Thud. However, before the coordinators could come to him, Michael threw the half-dead body of the youngster into a trio of participants who were watching the scene standing near the stage's edge. Thanks to Michael's hellish weight training with Gaia every evening, he had enough strength to throw the body with enough force to send the trio of unlucky participants staring at the scene. Such force, there's for elimination including a possible KO by death, Ishihara said. Ethan saw Ghost's bloodied face revealing a devilish smile. Some of the girls on the stage took several steps back in fear as the other participants decided it's better to fight others and eliminate them quickly before Ghost gets his hands on them and beats them to death. "Let's dance," Michael snickered. He wanted to instill fear in everyone who was about to fight him in the tournament. By the looks of the youngsters in front of him, he had done a good job. But unlucky for others, this was just the beginning of Michael's brutality. Gaia and Vidora finally left the woods after killing the three-headed crow. Due to the thick forest and Gaia's speed, they didn't bump into any more fire demons or beasts such as glass wraiths and three-headed crows. After the surprising show of power, Iag and the other two heads fell asleep. They were peacefully sleeping in Gaia's side bag while she was running through the forest. After an hour of non-stop running, she eventually found herself in a chilling and quiet valley. The hills on either side were decadent with green foliage and new-sprung buds. The place was silent. Not the calming one but an eerie one. The white fog covering the valley added an extra layer of creepiness to the valley. Where are we?" Iag asked, yawning and craning her head out of Gaia's bag. "Whoa, this place gives me creeps. There are probably some fire demons or something hiding here," Sarba said. "We are still at the edge of Fire Realm. The deeper we go, the more dangers we face," Gaia explained as Sarba nodded his head in agreement. After having spent some time here, Vidora understood how dangerous this place was. Since their arrival, they had bumped into three strange creatures: the fire demon, the glass wraith, and the three-headed black crow. They might even bump into weirder and rarer creatures soon. But no matter how incredible the demons and devils were, Vidora wouldn't feel shocked anymore. This was Fire Realm. To any human cultivator, this place was just a deadly hell. It was a place of brutality, life-threatening scenarios, darkness, bloodshed and slaughter, and in order to keep one's life here, the person could only rely on his own strength. Without incredible strength, the place could kill the person at any time. Gaia looked at the sky to see the dark clouds filling the sky. "It'll be dark soon. We need to find a safe place to stay the night." Gaia walked forward while looking around the hills to find a cave. "So are you gonna talk about this awesome one's awesome powers or not?" Iag's voice was filled with pride and superiority. "We will after we find a cave, and I break through to the core strengthening stage." Sarba's eyes went wide in surprise hearing Gaia. Compared to Iag, Sarba knew more about cultivation and this world because while Iag sleeps, Sarba would stay awake reading books or talking to Nightmare. He didn't know how much Kane knew because Kane was not a very talkative being like Iag. The fusion stage cultivator's femur Michael brought from the nether realm still had some energy left. Gaia planned to absorb it completely to break through to the core strengthening stage. Until coming here, she wanted to wait, strengthening her foundation before breaking through. However, her situation changed. She had to break through if she wanted to survive this place. Coupled with her battle experience, Michael's arrows, and her core strengthening stage cultivation, she could easily kill any core strengthening stage beasts under level 4. To kill anything between level 4 and level 7 would require a plan and strategy, but it wouldn't be impossible. Although she wouldn't be able to kill anything above level 7, she would be able to escape with a few minor wounds. "Damn it! Where do you have to steal my thunder?" Iag bite Gaia's forearm. "We'll talk about your newfound powers, I promise," Gaia promised with a serious expression. "There!" Suddenly Sarba raised his voice as Gaia looked up in the hill to her right side to see a cave. Gaia made her way to the cave with a few leaps using her arch energy. Standing at the mouth of the cave, Gaia conjured an orb of fire to light the cave. The cave was neither too deep nor wide. Although the ground seemed wet, and the roof had a purplish moth covering, the cave was clean and didn't seem to have anything living in it. Still, Gaia closed her eyes, spreading her perception around the cave, just to make sure nothing was inside. "It's safe," Gaia said to Vidora before walking into the cave. Jade shield. After entering the cave, she turned back, casting a spell. Soon, a translucent shield covered the entrance. "Unless it's a core strengthening stage beast, nothing can come in. It'll wake up in 7 hours." Gaia placed the side bag with Vidora in it aside her before retrieving the fusion stage femur from her space ring. The bone still had its glimmer, but not as bright as when Michael gave her the first time. "Don't fight with your brothers," Gaia flicked Ayag in the head before closing her eyes. "Wait till I fully comprehend my powers," Aya growled as Sarba chuckled. After almost 5 hours, Gaia had leisurely absorbed 90% of the remaining energy in the femur. Her energy had increased by a lot, and she was on the verge of breaking through to the core strengthening stage. Because of the energy fluctuations around her, some unwanted guests started to come towards the cave. Roar. Loud roars came from not far away. The thundering roars sounded out throughout the entire valley. After a few long moments, 2 massive creatures appeared not far away from the cave. They were 2 gigantic panthers. Each of them had a bot between 12 to 15 meters tall, which made them look like a small hill. Their looks and the arch energy they radiated would frighten most people within a snap of time. Both panthers looked identical. Gray stone fragments could be seen all over their bodies. On top of their heads, there was a long stone horn that glowed dimly. The eyes of these panthers were the same color as their stone, but they carried a fierce look. "Fuck, something's coming in our direction," Ayag cursed out silently. Vidora had no idea about the twin greystone panthers. Beasts like these were rare to the outside world. This was not the case in ancient places like Fire Realm. Twin demon beasts like greystone panthers were incredibly vicious. Their minds were linked, and once they entered a fight, they could achieve absolute perfect teamwork. The perfect team was not something that should be taken lightly because with their teamwork, the greystone panthers could hunt down bigger, meaner, and more powerful beasts than them. Roar. Despite the darkness, the panthers were able to see the cave in the hills. As soon as their eyes fell on the cave, they immediately started to walk towards the cave while roaring fiercely. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 344. Vidora felt the ground trembling as they heard the roars becoming louder and louder. The purplish moths covering the ceiling crumbled down on them with each roar. "Dang it! How could we possibly kill whatever that's coming here?" Sarba blurted out. "We need to wake her up." Despite their situation, Kane still sounded calm, just like Michael. "No, the only way we can survive this place is if she breaks through to the core strengthening stage. We must stall that thing and give her the time she needs." Ayag flapped their tiny wings to land before Gaia. "How are we gonna do that?" "Talk that thing to death." Sarba snapped. "Idiot, I have powers, and if I do, you 2 meatheads must have some powers too." Her words indeed made sense to Sarba, and Kane still it seemed like a bad time to rely on their unfound powers. Even if they could find out about their powers, there was no guarantee they, a body refining stage level 2 beast, could survive a battle with anyone above body strengthening stage. "The shield is still up. Let's hope whatever's coming towards us is not a core strengthening beast," Sarba said. "Man, I miss Ghost. If he was here, we could have just stood on his shoulder and enjoyed him beating the hell out of everything. It was her stupid decision and emotion to leave him, and you dragged us with her instead of convincing her not to leave him," Kane grunted after hearing Ayag. From the very beginning, he was against the idea of Gaia leaving Michael and venturing into such a dangerous place. Unfortunately, Sarba leaned with Ayag, so 2 out of 3 votes made Vidora accompany Gaia. There was nothing Kane could do. Ayag headbutt Kane, hearing his disagreement. But in the next second, Ayag's eyes lit up, and she blinked with a cunning look in her eyes. "Look, in case it's a core strengthening stage beast, we don't need to kill it." "We can't," Sarba interjected, only to get a vicious headbutt from Ayag. "We just need to stall the beast until this half-snake wakes up from her cultivation." Ayag looked at both Kane and Sarba for their approval. Since getting out of here without Gaia is impossible, and you won't let us wake her up, it seems we have no other choice but. Hope your plan would work. What do you think, Kane? Sarba asked Kane. We can stall the beast all right. If what Nightmare said was true, the core-strengthening beast would possess the intellectual prowess of humans. And the sight of us, a new species, would make the beast curious and re-evaluate or form up a new plan to deal with us. It might take time to gauge our strengths and weaknesses. If I saw a new species in front of me, that's what I would do. Kane's words somehow reassured both Ayag and Sarba. With his approval, Ayag closed her eyes, trying to figure out how she managed to let out the sonic cry. After having inherited Michael's personality and observing Gaia and Ghost for so long, Kane had learned a lot of crafty actions, and he had gained a lot of combat experience. Thud, thud, thud. As the seconds passed by, the ground trembled more and more violently. They were getting drenched in purplish moths. It was raining moths inside the cave. However, the moth was the last of Vidora's problems. If you have any powers, now will be a great time to reveal it, Kane. Sarba shivered hearing the roars getting louder and louder. He could tell whatever that's coming to them is closer than they like it to be. Hey, it can still be a core formation beast and Gaia's barrier can save us. Sarba tried to calm himself by being optimistic. His smile was not the brightest as he still had intense fear hiding behind his smile. Kane muttered. What? It's not one, it's two. Two beasts. Just as Kane uttered these words, Sarba looked through the translucent shield Gaia cast to see two huge yet majestic panthers made out of gray stones standing at the entrance. Considering Vidora's small stature, the panthers noticed her first before they noticed the tiny beast standing before the human. Both the panthers bore their teeth, which caused Sarba to feel a tingling sensation in his spine. Dazer, look there, surprising Vidora. One panther talked in human tongue. The voice sounded so rough and animalistic as one would imagine. Soon the panthers both closed their mouths, while their slit vertical pupils, that shone in silver in the darkness, became rounded. The murderous look in their eyes got replaced by curiosity. We are screwed, Sarba grunted, noticing the panther's cultivation level. Both of them were at core strengthening stage level 3, one level above the three-headed crow Gaia fought. But unlike before, the panthers weren't in a disadvantageous position. In fact, the panthers had the advantage of fighting in a closed space such as the cave. What is that? I have never seen such a beast before. The other panther gracefully took a step forward. Looking at the shield, one panther just raised its front paw, slowly putting its paw through the shield like it was testing the shield's power. When the panther's paw touched the shield, it produced a ripple through the shield. Humph! The panther snickered after making sure the shield couldn't stop or hurt them. Step by step, the panthers entered the cave through the shield. Get out! Ayag's eyes abruptly opened as she let out a powerful cry. A more powerful blast of a sonic wave shot out of her mouth and soared towards the panthers. The entire cave shook violently as the panthers got pushed back several steps backward. Although Vidora was just on the body refining stage level 2, the sonic cry had the power of a spell cast by a body strengthening stage level 7. The panthers' eyes went wide except their eyes brimmed with more curiosity and bloodthirstiness. This must be some heavenly beast, and it must be delicious to eat, the panthers talked to each other. We cannot waste a drop of blood of this beast, and we must do it before that human breakthrough to the core strengthening stage. I can feel she's just an hour away from breaking through. Then we kill the beast and devour the human before she breaks through. So much for your theory, Kane, Ayag growled. Am not the idiot, shouted and kindled their curiosity. Kane snapped. Eat these too. Am all bones and no flesh. The panthers evilly grinned hearing the silver head in the middle trying to plead. I think we should go with Kane's plan of waking her up. Ayag swallowed a mouthful of saliva. An overwhelming threat to her life shadowed her pride and haughtiness. Just as the panthers were only a couple of meters away from Vidora, an emerald green orb shot into the cave from somewhere. The panthers were startled as they almost jumped back in shock. Boom. Before Vidora could see the orb completely, it exploded, creating a muffled booming sound. Soon afterward, a green smoke filled the cave. Vidora immediately tried to close their nostrils with their small wings. It burns. Unlike Vidora, the panthers growled. Their voices were filled with terror and pain. Soon, they fell onto the ground, rolling frantically like they were on fire. By now, Vidora realized the green smoke didn't pose a threat to them since they felt nothing. As the panthers were rolling on the ground, a golden bolt of lightning hit the panthers from outside the cave. Ghost. Vidora's eyes went wide as they sparkled in excitement. They couldn't help but let out a long heave of sigh. However, Cain noticed something different with the lightning bolt. He looked at the panther which got hit by the lightning bolt to see a sword sticking out of the panther's gut. Swords of Justice. A calm yet magnetic voice sounded in the cave. Vidora looked at the cave entrance to see a human in pure white robes making his way towards them with a glistening white sword in each hand. For a moment, Vidora thought it was Ghost because the images of Ghost flashed across their eyes when they saw the youngster. Except for the color choice of his dress, this youngster possessed the same swag and grace of Ghost. In simple words, he looked just as dashing and stunning as Ghost in Vidora's eyes. Vidora saw the youngster raise his swords at the panthers before swinging them in the air. In a snap of time, several energy swords resembling the swords in his hand appeared above the panthers. The youngster winked at Vidora as the swords hanging above the panthers fell straight into the ground while skewering the panthers. The panthers frantically wiggled in pain, blood gushing out of their bodies. Still, no matter how hard they squirmed, they couldn't cast a spell or escape the wrath of the swords. Vidora was completely stunned seeing the youngster's prowess. They never expected a core formation level 4 youngster to kill not one but 2 core strengthening stage level 3 beats with such ease. Cain could guess it was that green smoke that affected the panthers, somehow making them vulnerable to the spell he cast. Under Vidora's shocked gazes, the youngster went closer to the panthers before ending their suffering once and for all by stabbing the panthers through their hearts using his swords. Then he squatted down to pull out the cores from the panther's chest. Whoosh! Just after a few seconds, the youngster pulled out the cores. A strong gust of wind swirled inside the cave, forming a small tornado around Gaia. An eye-hurting bright light enveloped her body. The light covered her body for a few more minutes before fading away. She did it, Iag shouted excitedly. Gaia then abruptly opened her eyes and her sharp gaze fell on the youngster standing before her. Noah Winston, Vidora saw the youngster letting out a calm smile. Elia, or should I call you Gaia Ashton? If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 345 System. Upgrade all the spells to max levels. Michael just sat there beside Claire while looking at his status window. He had 500,000 badass points that were waiting to be spent. Wonderful. Of course, the system can't upgrade the existing spells and skills to max level. Not max, just upgrade them as much as you can with the points I have. He wouldn't have chosen to upgrade the spells and skills if he didn't hear the Morning Star in Golden Valley is prioritizing to eliminate him from the tournament. With his current self, fighting several disciples who were above the core formation level 5 without using his full Lucifer form was not a fight he could win. Instead of strategizing to deal with each and every celebrity disciple like Alex or Selena, Michael decided to go with the ultimate plan, power triumphing over everything. Upgrading the spells and skills to the max level would make the tournament boring and easy host. You'd be invincible among core formation stage warriors. That's a bad thing, how? Just saying. Now what spells and skills do you want me to upgrade first? Responsive Shield, Ignitia, Lightning Dash. Upgrade them in the same order. Wonderful. You'll be temporarily thrown out of the system's interface and feel a tingling pain in your brain. What? Michael was stunned to hear the system. However, before he could ask why, the system interface disappeared from his eyes. Another elimination for Alex and Selena. When he exited the system, Michael heard James Hall's excited voice. He looked around to see the disciples of Morning Star screaming as loud as they could to cheer Alex and Selena. On the stage, Alex and Selena moved in perfect rhythm like they were dancing. Every time they got closer to an unlucky participant, either Selena knocked out the participant with a single punch to the side of the jaw or Alex threw out the participant like the participant was a sack of cotton. They are really making the round one look easy, Ishihara said in the big mirror. Michael saw Alex look in his direction for a moment before Spartan kicked one participant off the stage. Arg! Abruptly a muffled cry escaped Michael's mouth when he suddenly felt an excruciating pain in his head. Son of a b-dash, he almost cursed the system out loud. The damn system told him he would feel a tingling pain, but what he felt was not tingling. It felt like someone stabbing his brain with a rusty nail. Brother, did you say something? Cindy asked with a concerned look on her face. No, arg, yet again he grunted. This time, Claire turned her head. Excuse me, before he could blurt out another cry of pain, Michael stood up and left his seat. Fuck you, system. On his way to the hall below the arena where some disciples and mentors were strategizing away from the eyes of the people, he cursed the system. He climbed down the stairs fighting the pain with all his might. Many disciples from the small sects greeted him, but he completely ignored them. He hoped the strategizing hall would have less crowd than these stairs. Fortunately, he had APD to inject him with healing potions that somewhat lessened the pain. Soon, he started to sweat like he was locked into an oven. Navigating through the labyrinth of corridors, Michael finally entered a spacious hall with several groups of disciples in various armors and uniforms. They all looked extremely tense. Michael looked around the hall for a few moments before his eyes fell on a small lion's head which spit water through its mouth. Above the little lion head, they had a mirror hanging on. Now that he looked around, he saw several structures like these. He guessed that the nervous participants could wash their faces and freshen up a little before walking to the battle stage. Is that Ghost? Yeah, it is. What's he doing here? Stay away from him. Did you see what he did to that guy? I never thought a gentle-looking guy like him would be so cruel. Shoo, he's gonna hear us. Although Michael didn't notice her among the disciples, Sabrina noticed him. She wanted to kick those who were bad-mouthing him. Unlike most of the disciples here, Ghost earned everything through his hard work. Sabrina admired that about Ghost. Moreover, she felt immense gratitude towards Ghost for saving not only her but also her mother and Andrews. Arg, fuck, how long is this upgrading gonna take? Michael gripped the edge of the sink so tightly as lines of cracks started to appear in the pearl-white sink. Letting go of the sink, Michael took a handful of clear water to wash the sweat off of his face. He kept splashing water onto his face, until he saw a familiar face in the mirror standing behind him. Miss Sabrina. Michael turned back with water running from his face onto his black turtleneck. Here, before Michael could get the towel from his space ring, Sabrina reached out her handkerchief to him. Thank you. Michael was in too much pain to argue with Sabrina over a handkerchief. The male disciples who were dying to get Sabrina's attention, ever since they got here, became so jealous of Michael. Not only did she voluntarily go to talk to him, but also gave him her handkerchief, so he could wipe his face with it. I want to ask you something if you don't mind. Sabrina opened and closed her mouth several times before finally speaking these words. Shoot, Michael felt somewhat better after washing his face. The pain in his brain slowly started to ease. Michael took out a leather drinking pouch from his space ring. While Sabrina was forming her words, he took a long sip from the pouch. He then leaned on the wall behind him. I know Elia is not competing in the tournament, but if she did, do you think I still have the chance to win the championship? Michael was genuinely surprised by her questions. Moreover, she seemed like she was looking for his approval or something. Michael was not the only one who was surprised. Her friends seemed stunned. Sabrina was kind of a girl who was independent, strong, and someone would even say arrogant. However, right at this moment, she seemed so obedient and meek in front of Ghost. They had never seen her act like this before. First of all, you don't need others to tell you the odds. Second, Elia is my girlfriend, so my judgment will be biased. Third, you're good. You even have the chance to win this thing, but if Elia was here, that championship would have belonged to her. Many raised their brows hearing Michael's words. Some even expected Sabrina to get mad, except her face split into a wide grin. Thank you for being honest with me. Anytime, Miss Sabrina. Michael took another sip of water. And please call me Sabi. Michael didn't say anything but handed over the handkerchief back to her before leaving the hall. She stared at Michael's figure disappearing around the corner. Just a few moments after Michael left the hall, Andrews came to her side. What did you ask him? Andrews was afraid she discussed something related to him. I asked him the same question I asked Noah. Do you think I still have the chance to win the championship if Elia competed in the tournament with me? Oh, Andrews felt stunned and relieved at the same time. Noah said I will win the tournament no matter who is in the tournament. I knew he was lying, so I won't feel discouraged. Yeah, he's your brother. He's supposed to motivate you, Andrews said to see Sabrina reveal a gentle smile. What did Ghost say? He said I don't need others to tell me the odds, and because Elia is his girlfriend, his judgment would be biased. She paused for a moment. And Elia would have won the championship if she was here, Andrews frowned. Unlike Noah, Andrews didn't know what Elia was capable of. As far as he believed, Sabrina would win the body strengthening stage championship without a doubt. You guys always pampered me because I'm family. It was refreshing to see someone telling me the truth without sugarcoating it for me. Andrews saw the smile on her face getting brighter as she clenched the handkerchief tightly against her chest. What are you getting at? I don't know. He was like a brother I never got. The bond of siblings ran deep and strong in the Hunt family. Sabrina had the same Hunt family gene in her body. Hence she deep down felt a connection with Ghost. Somehow Ghost reminded of Noah despite their contrasting personalities. Sabrina couldn't shake the feeling of familiarity with Ghost. Because of that, after the tournament, she wanted to find out about Ghost's origins through her sister Rowena. If anyone could find out about Ghost's parents or his past, it would be the Holy Maiden of Skyhall, her sister. Meanwhile, Ghost returned to his seat freshened up. The pain in his brain was still there, but it was way less than before. Congratulations, the spell-responsive shield has been upgraded to level 8. Host is now completely immune to any spell attacks of a core formation stage warrior. Warning, legendary spells cast by a core formation level can still do some damage. Finally, Michael let out a grin. Resting his head on his hand, he looked at the blue-haired youngster on the same stage as Ashton. I'm gonna destroy your precious little Thusia brick by brick, before you get mad at me for not releasing a Gaia chapter that might be interesting than the tournament to some of you. Let me tell you this, that will feature the long-awaited battle, Ghost vs. Alex. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 346. Now the tournament committee will provide our audience with revitalizing pills, Ishihara said. After taking this pill, you will feel rested and refreshed. There were several complaints about fights in inns and taverns between youngsters. The people heard James Hall. Can you believe 2 noble families went extinct because the youngsters and their families couldn't wait until the chairs became available? James Hall sighed. Unfortunately, it happens all over the world. The family power clouds many youngsters' minds, so they pick fights with the wrong people. There are many rogue cultivators in this world who are stronger than strongest families in some kingdoms. Michael continued to listen to the commentators blabber about the young masters, and how they got their asses kicked and families destroyed. Meanwhile, the coordinators flew around the arena sending small emerald-colored round pills to the audience. Everyone, including the cultivators, got a pill. Claire helped Cindy swallow the pill. The very next moment Condi swallowed the pill. The dark circles formed under her eyes due to lack of sleep faded away. Her face lit up like someone put a candle inside her mind. With newfound energy, Cindy started to clap her hands joyfully. In a couple of minutes, the entire arena erupted in cheers as they did at the beginning of the tournament. In a few more minutes, we will begin the second round of the Body Strengthening Stage Championship. Darius' voice calmed down the people. The people leaned forward on their seats. The second round of the tournament will be just like the first round with one simple change. In the second round, participants can use a weapon of their choice. But they can't change their weapon's middle of the battle. You pick it, you stick with it. Can this weapon have runes? Ishihara asked Darius. The committee had a long talk about runes but ultimately decided not to let the participants take rune-placed weapons. If it was before, Michael would have been worried about weapons with runes. After upgrading spells and skills, unless a participant had a legendary weapon or used a legendary spell, Michael would be invincible among the core formation warriors. Remind me when my turn comes. Unlike the rest, Michael leaned back on his chair. He took out the book he bought from Lord Information and started to read it. The 40 participants who qualified for the second round will be divided into 4 groups of 10. Among the 10, Each of them will fight another participant in their group. It'll be one-on-one battle. James Hall described the format of the second round. How does the elimination process work? Ishihara asked. A participant must make his or her opponent surrender or knockout to win the battle. Remember that the part of a battle experience is knowing when to back down. Many famous cultivators had surrendered in their life to live to fight another day. There is no shame in surrendering. Michael knew Darius' words were true, yet he doubted these thick-headed young masters and young misses would choose to surrender. Many of them would rather die than surrender. For them, surrendering was a shame. Yes, surrendering might just save your life because coordinators can't always swoop down and save you in time, James Hall said. If death were to occur, the families and sects are prohibited to harm the participant in any way. If any harm is to fall on the participant by the victim's family or sect, the Guardian Guild will take it as an action against them and come at you with full force. When everyone thought Darius couldn't sound any more serious, he proved them wrong. Michael was glad to hear Darius. This way he wouldn't worry about getting chased by the Fisher family after he kills Alex. Of course, he knew they might try to harm by other means. Nonetheless, Michael had to kill Alex. It was Alex who pushed Michael to this point by putting a contract on his head. Also, after spending some time with Lord Information, Michael began to grasp how the Grim Reapers operate. Unlike he initially thought, Grim Reapers wouldn't kill anyone for money. They were picking targets with weak or no power backing them. The Grim Reapers were like a hybrid of assassins and politicians. That was why the Grim Reapers had never killed a high-value target like a king or a sect leader, because they knew if they did, the guild would be decimated. Out-honored guests and the judges would decide who faces who. Now let's begin, for hours passed in a blink of an eye. Currently, the audience was relatively less cheery looking at the battle stage. On the stage, a man wearing silver knight armor was mopping the floor with the youngster in brown leather armor. Why aren't you surrendering? Everyone heard the youngster in knight armor grunting. He lifted the golden-haired youngster by the neck and kept punching him in the face. This has stopped being a battle a long time ago. Why isn't he surrendering? Ishihara's voice didn't sound as cheery as always. She felt pity for the golden-haired youngster. It was obvious Andrews lacks real battle experience, but you don't need to be forged in a battlefield to realize when to back down and surrender. You're right, James. Sir Galahar is offering the chance for Andrews to surrender. If anyone else was in Sir Galahar's shoes, Andrews might have lost his life by now. Why is he not surrendering? Claire's voice was filled with concern and pity. Love, Michael mumbled under his breath, looking at Princess Catherine on the stage. The princess' clenched fist and shaking hands were obvious signs of her being in love with Andrews. Otherwise, why should a princess look so pale and gloomy looking at Andrews bleeding on the stage? Michael lived long enough to differentiate pity from love. The beating had been going on for almost half an hour. Michael was surprised by Andrews' ability to take the beating. At first, Michael thought he would lose consciousness after being beaten for 10 minutes, but he was proven wrong. After beating the crap out of Andrews, the knight started to lose his cool. He grunted before throwing Andrews a few meters away from him. Galahar's red-haired fluttered in the wind while the smile he wore on his face was nowhere to be seen. While losing his patience, Galar failed to notice Andrew grabbed the hilt of his sword lying beside him. Andrews rolled over to the side, hiding the sword in his hand from Galahar's eyesight. I'm going to stop the fight. Imelda couldn't watch Andrews getting beaten to death anymore. She stood up from her seat, tears rolling down on her face. Cling. Pulch. Suddenly a sound of metal hitting metal reverberated in the arena, followed by the sound of flesh getting stabbed. Imelda wiped off the tears to make her eyesight clear. When her eyesight cleared, she saw Andrews hanging by Galahar's hand in the air, but Galahar had a sword sticking through his throat. Everything happened so fast. At first, Galar lifted Andrews by his neck, as usual. This time everyone thought Galar was going to break Andrews' neck. In the heat of anger, Galar failed to notice the sword Andrews hiding behind his back. When Galar lifted Andrews up, Andrews used the momentum to stab Galar in the throat. Galahar let go of Andrews as he tried to get the sword out of his throat. However, the sword was too deep, and before he could muster enough strength to pull out the sword, Galahar's body gave up on him. He fell to the ground while blood gushed out of the throat. In a few moments, Galahar stopped moving once and for all. The coordinators landed on the battle stage. It was too late though. After checking for a pulse, the coordinators shook their heads. Dead. Andrews Winston wins. The crowd erupted into cheers the moment the coordinators announced. Many were still in shock, slowly letting the fact that Andrews, who was barely alive, was able to defeat a knight. Even Michael couldn't help giving a nod of approval at Andrews. Give him a healing potion. Princess Catherine's sudden shout stunned everyone. But most of them thought it was a prince's gentle heart that made her care for Andrews. It was almost midnight when the Core Formation Stage Championship had only one fight remaining. Before announcing the last fight, yet again the coordinators awarded the audience with revitalizing pills for the crowd. Even without taking the pills, the crowd was so excited for the last fight because only 2 participants remained to battle. Ghost and Alex. Now it's time for the final battle of round 2. The battle everyone including myself is looking forward to. James Hall sounded excited, just like the crowd. Participants Ghost and Alex, please come to the battle stage. Ghost. 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 Alex. 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 Both the fans of Ghost and Alex shook the arena with their thunderous cheers. Soon the cheering turned into a competition of whose cheers sounded louder. Under their thunderous cheers, Michael and Alex landed on the battlefield with a smile on their faces. Alex took out a long golden spear from his back, while Michael remained still. The coordinators flicked their wrists as Michael felt a warm air brushing past him. It was the runes placed on the battleground scanning him for hidden weapons, or weapons with runes. Looking at Michael, Alex let out a cold smile. It's time we finish our little dispute. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 347. As Michael and Alex stood at the edges of the battle stage, the cheers dulled down. The crowd was too excited to cheer. Michael calmly remained with his hands folded. He didn't unsheath his dual swords. On the other side, Alex stood with his long golden spear in his hand. The spear was nothing that would scream craftsmanship. Rather, it was plain-looking. The entire spear looked like it was made of gold. The long point looked extremely sharp and pointy. Despite its normal looking, Michael could sense the overwhelming power the spear was radiating. Since the participants were not allowed to use arch energy, Michael wouldn't be able to use responsive shield to protect himself from the spear. Luckily, Michael trained his sword mastery to 96% and serpent mega to 93%. Both these skills enabled him to move nimbly and at an extreme speed even without using arch energy. Can we get this over with? I have a championship to win. Michael sounded bored to everyone. Did you hear that, guys? He's so sure, Ishihara commented. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. We just need to wait and see which is which, James Hall answered Ishihara. Michael's words caused a commotion among the fans of Alex. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. Beat him. The morning star dispels and fans of Alex began to chant in unison while Michael remained calm despite their cheers. However, suddenly Michael's brows furrowed as he saw Alex remove the armor covering his chest. The spear remained still without falling down while Alex continued to remove his armor pieces one by one. Thud. Alex threw the armor pieces on the ground. Each time a piece hit the stage, the heavy metal produced a thud sound. You're kidding me? Michael was confused. What is Alex doing? Michael was not the only one who was confused. Even Ishihara couldn't help asking the question. He's throwing away his advantage over Ghost and leveling up the field. Although Darius' words made sense, many couldn't believe Alex. After I kill you, I don't want people to say that I had an advantage. Alex coldly smiled. His words got amplified by the runes and sent a chill running through Ethan's spine. Diana clenched her fist while trying her best to control the killing intent from showing in her eyes. Kill me. Michael tilted his head, pretending to be shocked. You're not gonna beg for mercy and surrender, are you? As he snickered, Alex removed the last piece of armor that covered his abs. Throwing the armor onto the stage, he stood flexing his flawless smooth skin to the audience. Alex had a perfect upper body with six-pack abs. a chiseled chest and perfectly placed muscles. Oh my God. So sexy. Sister Selena is really a lucky girl. Oh, look at his abs, so smooth, with his silver hair fluttering in the wind and golden spear in one hand. Alex looked like a model for magazines. Many girls had sparkling eyes looking at Alex. Even men couldn't help feeling jealous of his body. Granted, cultivators had good bodies, but Alex had a magnificent body. It was obvious he was working out in addition to cultivating, or he wouldn't have gotten such perfectly sculpted muscles. Let's start this, Alex taunted Michael to step forward. Fight! 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 The crowd erupted yet again, seeing the both of them walking towards each other to fight. Unlike Alex, Michael still hadn't unsheathed his swords. Diana and Ethan moved to the edge of their seats as they didn't take their eyes away from Michael. Every single person in the arena, including those who remained in the strategic hall, came outside to see the battle. Alex made a mistake by removing his armor. He gave up the advantage he had over Ghost. That was the difference between Alex and Michael. Michael would have never let go of his advantage. Thus, Michael still had APD to inject him with the potions such as healing potions. Considering APD was made of junk metal and connected with the system, the runes didn't pick up the APD. As far as the committee and the coordinators were concerned, the APD was just a black bracelet Michael wore for style. When Michael and Alex got close, Alex stabbed the spear aiming at Michael's chest. His thrust was so fast that it almost hit its target. With a sway of his body, Michael evaded the spear, yet Alex was quick enough to hit Michael with the staff. Following the staff attack, Alex roundhouse kicked Michael. Although Alex removed the armor above his waist, he still wore metal boots. Hence, when the kick landed on Michael's shoulder, Michael had pushed away a couple of meters while Michael felt his shoulder bones hurt. If the kick had a little more force and he didn't have APD, his shoulder would have been dislocated. Without giving a moment for Michael to breathe, Alex dashed at him with his spear pointing at Michael's throat. Everyone who saw Alex move knew it was not his intention to make Ghost surrender, but he wanted to kill him. Shaking his aching shoulder, Michael quickly evaded the spear's pointy end before hitting the spear on the shaft just below the blade using his other hand. Just when everyone thought Alex made a mistake by getting closer, Alex pulled back the spear and grabbed the spear in the middle. Chuck! 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 Alex started to attack Michael with a spear and his bare hand. Their clash produced continuous sounds as Michael felt like he was in a martial arts movie. Ouch, that has to hurt. After seeing Ghost and Alex exchange more than 40 blows in a minute, James Hall opened his mouth looking at the spear cut across Ghost's chest. Diana clenched her fist tiger as her nails started to sink in her palm. Blood spattered on the battle stage as Alex and Ghost continued to exchange blows. As time went by, more and more cuts appeared on Ghost's body. Still, they were at a stalemate that irritated Alex. Arg! Letting out a loud roar, Alex sent Ghost several meters back with a swift Spartan kick to his chest. He's good. Even the system flattered Alex after their exchange of blows. In 2 minutes, they exchanged at least 100 kicks and punches. Both of them had sweat drops on their faces. Michael almost looked like a beggar with his long coat and turtleneck that had several cuts and holes. Thinking about surrendering? Yee-yi. Alex. 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 The thunderous cheers of Alex fans swept across the arena. The entire pavilion of Ghost's fans went silent looking at his state. Ethan was speechless as she stared at the bleeding cuts on Ghost with an aching heart. Ha 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 ha. Michael suddenly burst into laughter to everyone's surprise. His laughter reverberated in the arena, silencing the cheers. Guys, I'm confused. Why is he laughing? Just like everyone else, Ishihara was also confused. I don't know. James Hall shook his head. Did you think I was fighting you seriously? As he said, Michael flexed his shoulders as the long coat and sheaths that had his 2 swords fell off. The audience could now clearly see the definition of his muscles through the cut and torn black turtleneck. Diana saw Michael ripping off his already ripped and torn turtleneck, revealing his upper body. The moment she saw his body, she felt a chilling running through her spine. Unlike Alex's body, which was smooth and fine, Ghost's body was riddled with scars. Compared to Michael's muscle definition, Alex was nowhere close to him. Each and every muscle in Michael's body looked created separately and glued together to form a perfect muscular body. In addition to muscle definition, every muscle in Michael's body was bigger than Alex. Diana's heart ached to see the scars on his body. She couldn't even imagine what her son has to go through to get all those scars. Michael slowed down the healing potion injection through APD. He didn't want the coordinators to suspect him of using healing potions. If the cuts disappeared to the naked eyes, they would definitely suspect something amiss. Hence, Michael let the cuts hurt and bleed. The cuts weren't deep enough to mortally wound Michael, yet they were deep enough to make him bleed. Coupled with the blood and the scars, his body attracted all the gazes like a super magnet. The girls who had sparkles in their eyes when they saw Alex's body had flames of passion and desire in their eyes looking at Michael. If Alex was hot like fire, Michael was hot like lava that melted the young girls' hearts. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 4,000 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 3,000 badass points. The notification sound went crazy inside his head. After upgrading his spells and skill, he had 50,000 points remaining, but at the moment, the points were flying past the mark of 150,000, and didn't seem to slow down. I was just playing with a kid who has a spear. As Ghost spoke these words, Alex's smile froze on his face. The next moment, Diana saw Ghost stomp the stage beneath him as the stomp made the swords lying on the ground fly straight into his hand. It seemed like he was controlling the sword using an invincible force. Cling! Michael brushed his two swords together as they produced a stream of golden red sparks. The broadcasting tunes focused on Michael's face to broadcast his smile in the giant mirrors. Let's end this. Sorry, I broke the chapter releasing pattern. I thought you guys and gals would love to see the fight. Let me know you want to see the fight in the very or after 2 Gaia chapters. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 348. Despite the blood dripping from the cuts on his chest and shoulder, Michael walked towards Alex with an amused grin on his face. Alex's biceps got bigger when he clenched the spear even tighter. This time Alex dashed at Michael with an extreme speed that many doubted it was even possible to move this fast without arch energy. From the beginning of the tournament, the arena never went silent, but at this moment, not a single sound could be heard in the arena. Even the commenters remained silent. All of the eyes were glued to Alex and Michael. It was the most anticipated scene that even made Norvin drop his fruit and stare at the fight. Just when the spear was a few inches away from Ghost's throat, he simply evaded the spear. However, he did not only evade at even greater speed but also knocked Alex on the head using the sword's hilt. Too slow, Michael snickered, making Alex immediately swing his spear. Yet again, the people saw Ghost evade the spear without breaking a sweat. This time Michael smacked Alex on the back with his sword's surface. Before even Alex could react to the first smack, he received another smack. The force of the smacks formed 2 red lines on Alex's flawless smooth fair skin. Michael was standing behind Alex, so Alex tried to hit Michael in the gut with the butt of the spear. He pulled the spear closer quickly. Ting! No matter how fast Alex moved, Michael simply swatted the spear with the flick of his sword. The clash between Michael's sword and Alex's spear produced sparks with a loud ting noise. Surrender now, Alex, Michael snickered before smacking Alex right on his face with his 2 swords. Alex was losing his cool because no matter how fast he moved, Ghost moved faster. The crowd was completely stunned by Ghost's speed. People who knew about swordsmanship were stunned by the level of sword mastery Michael was exhibiting. Especially the sword master of Aragoth. Darius was speechless. In his 70 years of training, he couldn't even come closer to the talent Ghost possessed in swords. Each of Ghost's moves seemed simple and elegant, yet only people like Darius understood how difficult it was to do what he was doing. Unlike many commoners were thinking, a sword was not the most powerful blade weapon, it was the spear. Spear was far superior to sword, yet Ghost's mastery over the sword completely overshadowed Alex's spearmanship. It would take decades of hard work to master one-handed sword skills, except Ghost was only 21 years old, and he seemed to have mastered dual wielding. If Darius wasn't older than Ghost, and didn't have pride and ego, he would have asked Ghost to take him as his disciple. Coupled with the fact he couldn't even touch Ghost, his words made Alex mad. "I am giving you a chance, Alex." Thup. 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 Alex missed each swing of his spear, but kept receiving smacks from Ghost's swords. Diana knew she had no right whatsoever to feel proud of her son, yet she did. To Ethan, every single move Ghost did remind himself of Harriet. "He's our son, all right." A tiny teardrop formed in the corner of Ethan's eyes. Watching Ghost toying with Alex, Selena clenched her fist as veins on her forehead started to bulge out. Her entire body shivered in fury. "Son of Thup." This time Ghost smacked Alex right on his mouth. Alex's anger exploded as he swung the spear in a crescent shape, only to miss Michael completely. Alex misjudged the athleticism of Ghost. When he swung the spear, Ghost just bent his back like his spine was made of rubber to evade the spear completely. The spear could only brush past Ghost's nose. Diddle diddle. Ethan felt a chill running through his spine when he heard these words escape Ghost's mouth. Harriet Hunt aka Diana used to recite a rhyme before she went for the kill. "He's gonna kill him." Claire's eyes went wide. She knew about Ghost's habit of reciting the small rhyme before killing someone. "We are so." Alex saw Ghost's smile disappear from his face as he dashed at him. Alex tried to defend himself using his spear but ultimately failed because of Ghost's lightning speed. In a blink of an eye, Michael closed the gap between him and Alex. "Little Eno," Selena screamed standing on the Morningstar Pavilion. The moment the word little, Alex felt an excruciating pain in his heart and throat. The very next moment, the pain multiplied by several folds as Alex felt the grip he had on his spear loosen. He lost all of his strength. "Arg!" Alex blurted out, mouth full of blood. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Michael lifted Alex from the ground like skewered meat. The spear fell on the ground while Alex's blood oozed on Michael, bathing him in blood. Michael immediately twisted both the swords, leaving no chance for the coordinators to save Alex. Still, Michael didn't rely on this as he withdrew the sword that stabbed through Alex's throat. When he withdrew the sword, hot blood gushed out. Within a snap of time, he stabbed Alex right between the eyes, ending Alex's life once and for all. Coordinators. It took a few moments for everyone to come out of their daze, including the commenters and coordinators. Ishihara immediately stood from her seat while screaming at the coordinators. Michael was completely covered in the blood oozing out of Alex's wounds. He looked like the devil incarnate in many people's eyes. A few moments after Alex closed his eyes, the coordinators landed with haste on the stage. Still, Michael didn't put down Alex's body. Diana's heart skipped a beat seeing her son like this. This was the dark side of him that she never wanted to see. Only Ashton had a grin on his face seeing Michael like this. In the giant mirrors, the crowd started at Michael's face without batting an eye. The dark red blood oozed on his face, painting his face red. When he smiled, many felt like fainting. It was so terrifying for the weak-hearted. "You should warn your brother," Norvin said to Alicia with a grimace face. And Andrews as silence enveloped the pavilion. Diana's serious voice drew the attention of Alicia. Meanwhile, back in Gaia's cave, Noah was leaning on the cave's wall with folded arms. Gaia had black lines on her forehead after hearing Noah call her by her real name. She was still wearing the mask that Ghost gave her. Despite the mask, Noah found out her identity. She wondered how. Just when she thought she couldn't get into any more trouble, she fell into a deep pit of trouble. Among all the people, it had to be Noah who found her secret. A guy who not only connected to Guardians, but also to her stepsister. In addition to her secret, he even saw the Hydra. Killing him would solve the problem, but Ghost warned her about Noah. At this moment, Gaia's instincts told her to heed Ghost's warning. "Your sister and the whole Nagaland thinks they crippled your cultivation. They are in for a rude awakening." Noah chuckled while Vidora quickly flapped their wings to land on Gaia's lap. A three-headed Hydra, fancy. His words stunned Gaia. He sounded like he knew about Vidora's species. "You're a long way from Ghost. Does he know you're here?" Noah walked towards the two dead bodies of the panthers while still maintaining eye contact with Gaia. "Of course he doesn't. If he did, he wouldn't have sent you here. Especially if he knew. This was the place that took your mother away from you. You know your sister and father are pretty worried about you." Noah flicked his wrist as a green gourd appeared in his hand. On the other hand, Gaia couldn't bear to hear his nonsense anymore. Humph worried? My loving sister threw me in jail, while my father of the year crippled me. So pardon me for not believing the bullshit coming out of your mouth. Ha ha ha. Unexpectedly Noah burst into laughter before pouring a green liquid from the gourd onto the dead bodies. Your sister is naive and your father, well, I don't talk ill about others, but your father is a piece of work. I mean, what kind of father would cripple his firstborn? Gaia was surprised to hear these words from Noah, but she sensed there's a but coming. But you did commit crimes such as bribery, assassinations, and my favorite, mass murders, as he said. Noah threw the gourd with the dead bodies before snapping his finger. When he snapped, a park of fire appeared from his hand and shot towards the dead bodies. The moment the sparks met the liquid, dark green flames engulfed the dead bodies. If you think serial rapists who raped and killed hundreds of my people, massacred innocent people in cold blood deserve a second chance, you are just as naive as Zanali. Gaia stood up, gently putting Vidora on her shoulder. Since he saw them, there was no need to hide them anyways. Did you know when you burned the prison to the ground, there was one family who went to say goodbye to their father, and one family went there to see their brother before leaving Nagaland, hoping to start a new life? Gaia's heart skipped a beat as Noah continued. One family had two 11-years-old kids and a mother, and the other had one 8-years-old, two 15-years-old and grandparents in their 60s. What did they do to deserve to be burned alive? If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 349. What are you talking about? Gaia grunted. She was unable to believe Noah. In her lifetime, she had never taken an innocent life. When she heard that she was responsible for killing several innocent people, she couldn't even breathe normally. Here, Noah flicked his wrist as a parchment appeared in his hand. He threw the parchment to Gaia. Her hands shivered. Mustering all the courage in every fiber of her body, she opened the parchment. The parchment had the crest of Nagaland, a cobra coiling around the golden dagger. Under the crest was a long list of names. She didn't need an introduction to those names. They were the names of people in the prison she burned down to the ground. Their names were in red, but when her eyes came to the end of the list, there were several names written in green ink. These names she didn't recognize. That was the list created by your own elites, the team your mother formed. The crest on the top was proof enough for Gaia that this parchment was created by the elites. The crest might seem simple, but it was actually a rune. Hence it was damn hard to forge it elsewhere. Only the elites had the knowledge to create the logo. The elites was a group of highly trained Nagas that only answered to the queen. They were the symbol of courage, mercy, justice, faith, power, and hope. Gaia's mother formed this elite group to protect the kingdom from threats inside and outside the kingdom. When she formed the group, she wanted Gaia to lead them in the future. But her untimely demise and Gaia's father's second marriage let Gaia's stepmother control the elites. Since the elites were bound by honor, they answered to Gaia's stepmother as she was the queen of Nagaland. A tear formed in each eye before falling onto the parchment. It was a tear of self-blame and shock. People think me as a self-righteous prick, but they fail to understand that I'm like this because I don't want to be the reason for an innocent to suffer. Noah said in a serious tone. Sometimes killing one evil becomes a reason for 100 more evil to emerge. And killing one innocent is like letting 100 evil triumph. Michael and Noah had completely different perspectives on this. As far as Michael was concerned, if killing 100 evil costs one innocent life, he would kill 100 evil. But if it was Noah, he would save that one innocent life at the cost of letting 100 evil go. Why are you telling her these? I couldn't bear to see Gaia sad. Don't even think about ratting her out. Ghosts will kill you, Sarba snapped as he bore his teeth at Noah. However, Noah just smiled. If I wanted to rat you out, I would have done it a long time ago. Ghost saved my sister and mother, I'm grateful to him. This is me returning the favor. No one will hear from me that you are Gaia. But if you want to hide your identity forever, you need to find a better mask. Or you will end up hurting him when the elites show on your doorstep someday. Gaia felt a chill running through her spine, but when she saw Ghost's smiling face in her mind, Her fear and sadness disappeared. She trusted he would overcome anything. Unlike some girls who would only bring trouble to the guy, she wanted to stop all the troubles before they could reach Ghost. I bet you're not here to tell me this. Gaia finally took her gaze away from the parchment to look at Noah. Your father is dying. Gaia's heart skipped a beat yet another time when he dropped another bomb on him. Only thing that can save him is the heart of the five-headed serpent. And I guess you're here for that same five-headed serpent I'm looking for. If we look for the serpent in our own ways, we might end up getting killed, but if we combine our forces, we can get what we both want. What happened to him? Instead of responding to Noah's offer to work together, Gaia asked about her father. Someone poisoned him. Gaia couldn't help clenching her fist when a sudden burst of anger exploded within her. She hated her father, yet when she heard someone poisoned him, her blood boiled. I know you can't complete your Naga transformation without the heart dash. You can take it, Gaia interjected Noah. This shall be my last filial act as his daughter. One day I will rub the fact I let him live on his face. Gaia put the parchment in her space ring instead of giving it to him back. Why are you here alone anyway? Where are your guardian buddies? Gaia leaned on the wall asking Noah. Although she asked casually, she wanted to learn more about Noah because she had a weird feeling about him. As far as she was concerned, he would die fighting the five-headed serpent with his core formation level 4 cultivation. In her mind, he would make a great distraction by being the five-headed serpent's snack. Where are we going next? Iag asked. Iag still didn't trust Noah, but she was not stupid to let go of help in this place. There is a city right in the center of the fire realm, Hell City, Noah said. Oh, so there is actually a city in this god-forsaken place? Iag was surprised. She hadn't expected this at all. Hell City is a unique existence. Ancient devils will not enter the city no matter what. That's why it has become a gathering place for all humans and other races. Supposedly, this Hell City is the safest place in Fire Realm, and as long as you stay within the city, you won't have to worry about being attacked by beasts, and your safety will be guaranteed. The tunnel leading to the outside world only opens once a year, therefore, Hell City has become the most important place to protect. But now, it has become the most dangerous area in Fire Realm, no different than the deepest area of Fire Realm. How did that happen? Iag asked while Gaia remained silent, letting Noah do the explaining to Iag. She wanted to remain silent, facing the various emotions surging in her heart. Very simple. Where there are humans, there is trouble. In Fire Realm, you can find trouble anywhere. Between ancient beasts, between humans and other races, between humans and humans. Blood is spilled everywhere. There are no rules here, only raw slaughter. In order to survive in the Fire Realm, you need powerful strength. Right now, there are all kinds of bad and good people mixed in Hell City. Some are vicious criminals who were exiled here by one of the Great Nine clans, or some genius disciples from some big sect who's looking to forge themselves in the fire of real battle experience. When so many powerful people are mixed together in a single place, conflicts are inevitable, Noah explained. Cain carefully listened to every single one of his words. He could understand the situation here. There were no rules in Fire Realm, and the most important thing here was strength and ability. Without it, one would be nothing but prey to the strong. Although Hell City could help a person escape from the attacks of demons and devils, it couldn't help them escape from conflicts between humans. There might be something that instigated the trouble in the first place, Iag said. It's the damn Thusians. The word Thusian stopped Gaia's train of thoughts. The pain, the anger, the fury, and everything Ghost was feeling flashed across her mind. He gave a small taste of his emotions a long time ago, yet she could still feel everything like they happened to her. Thusians. They've been waging war on small factions and realms like this to bolster their power. Until recently they've been only targeting small factions, but now, they are waging war on many kingdoms in the Azer continent. It's only a matter of time before they start a war in Elon. Gaia began to worry about Ghost. She doubted he would do something suicidal, yet she wanted to be there with him. Now she wanted more than anything to get stronger. If she was weaker than him, she would just be a hindrance after getting stronger. It would become a different story though. I thought it's your guild's job to stop wars, Gaia snickered. Guardians? Am righteous, not stupid. They lost their purpose a long time ago. Now they are just corrupted politicians who wouldn't raise a finger without getting something in return. For a moment Gaia wasn't sure what she just heard. She never expected Noah to loathe the Guardians, because he's one of them. Seeing the stunned look on Gaia's face, Noah smiled. I didn't join Guardians to earn millions of gold or get beauties. I have those. I joined Guardians because I want to reform them from the ground up. I owe it to someone. Just when Gaia was about to ask him something, Noah interjected. You want to ask why I'm telling you these, right? I'm telling you this because in the future I would like to work with Ghost to help the people. I know he's building his own empire, and I want us to work together for the greater good. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 350. The Fire Realm had no sunrise or beautiful morning like in the outside world. The red sky just got brighter, indicating that the dark night has gone. When the cave got brighter, Gaia and Noah ended their meditation and stood up to leave the cave. Stay inside, Gaia warned Vidora, especially Iag, before putting them back into her saddlebag. They soon left the cave heading towards Hell City. Considering flying might attract the crows, they chose to walk. They both knew it would take a long time, but it was the safest way to reach Hell City without getting into any trouble. Hey, I still don't understand why people choose to come to this dump. Iag craned her neck up to peek outside. Most of them don't choose. 2/3 of the people here are criminals who were exiled from various kingdoms. Even Guardians sent the ruthless criminals here instead of putting them in prison, Noah said while walking in front of them. I thought criminals supposed to be in prisons. Prisons are expensive and a hassle to maintain. They would get overcrowded in a snap. Why can't the rulers sentence them to death? Because most of them are stupid, Gaia snickered. And stupidest ones believe those criminals deserve a second chance. Noah chose not to put his head into their conversation. I hope you have gold coins in your ring. I'm starving and I'd literally kill someone to eat, Iag complained. Gold coins means shit here, brat. What? Iag almost shouted. People deal in beast cores here. Don't worry, I'm sure the glass wraith core will be enough for us to survive and treat you to a meal. Good, because your hands are beginning to look real juicy. Iag let out a burst of evil laughter. Keep them hidden. Although many don't know their species, they would still hunt you down to sell them as an exotic pet, or worse, they will capture them and do experiments. Iag frowned hearing Noah's words. The Guardians have a safe house in Hell City. We'll get a takeaway. Whoa, slow down. I'm not gonna stay in a Guardian safe house. What if it's a trap? Gaia stopped following Noah. Then rent a tavern and stay there. If I wanted to capture you, I just need to tip the elites and they will do the rest. Hell City was located right in the center of Fire Realm. It was a huge city that covered more than a few hundred miles in circumference. It looked like a historical city with dulled colors, scars, and marks everywhere. It was the remains of time, which proved that Hell City had been around for a long period of time. At least, it had been here since the discovery of the Fire Realm. No fights from here, Gaia wanted, patting the saddlebag. Just get me something to eat, Iag whispered silently. I will now shut up, Gaia yelled at Iag as they walked towards the city's main gate. Hell City's main gate was actually a huge breach on the city wall, and it didn't fit the standards of a city gate. When Noah got closer to the main, his expression became a focused one, and a grin emerged on his face. Why are you grinning? Gaia asked. She was kind of familiar with Noah's expression. Every time Ghost got something good, he would smile just like this. She didn't want to admit it, but Ghost and Noah seemed the same and opposite at the same time. There are hidden treasures in this city, I can sense it. Instead of hiding the truth, Noah told her the truth. You can sense treasures? What kind of treasures? The kind that helps our fight with the five-headed serpent easier, Noah said to Gaia. I was thinking about why those beasts don't attack Hell City. There must be some reason behind it, and perhaps it's related to this hidden treasure. He continued. We must get it before someone else does. Noah's eyes lit up. Don't get too excited. If no one unearthed the treasure to this day, it must be guarded or hidden carefully. I doubt with our current strength and abilities, we can get it. Gaia dampened Noah's enthusiasm. I'm lucky, Noah smiled. Luck? Are you fucking kidding me? We can't depend on luck. You know what Ghost said about luck. What? Noah asked. He said that I don't believe in luck, I believe in hard work. Stop right there. Right at this moment, a group of 10 middle-aged men leaped out from the dark bushes on their path, blocking Gaia and Noah. This is a robbery. You two, hand over all your belongings now. If not, we will take it from your corpses. A man with a ferocious scar on his face threatened them. Gaia looked at the 10 men frowning. They were all at core formation stage 10. It was true that they were 10 and they were 2, and in normal situations, 10 core formation stage warriors had a higher chance to defeat the core strengthening stage cultivator if they fought with coordination. However, Gaia and Noah were not normal. They were 2 abnormal monsters. Looking at them, Noah burst out into laughter. Pretty good luck for them to bump into some robbers right as they arrive in the city. These 10 men had pretty strong cultivation bases. Therefore he knew they would have more monster cores with them. Fuck you luck, Noah. Welcome to Hell City. I heard about bandits in Hell City. Some people group together and hide outside the main gate. And when they see someone with weaker cultivation bases or loners like us, they will strike and rob them. I also heard these men are really smart. They know about all the alliances and their strengths in detail. They know who can be offended and who can't be offended like the back of their palm. However, it seemed like today was their bad day. Noah still had his usual calm smile on his face. If you give everything you steal, I will go easy on you. You know it'll be hard to survive in Fire Realm with broken bones and no monster cores. Noah shrugged his shoulders. Then he looked at Gaia. He could tell she was ready to take out her bow and kill them on the spot. Broken bones. Since you shitheads decided to rob me, I'm gonna rob you and send you to another hell. The 10 men were startled to hear Gaia. Despite her cultivation base, the 10 of them were underestimating her because she was a girl. They didn't know what she's capable of. The superiority of numbers on their side blinded their eyes. What the fuck? How could a bitch be so aggressive? Hey, what the fuck? We are the ones robbing you, not the other way around. Look carefully at the current situation and the difference between our strengths. Hurry up, hand over all your belongings, and we will spare your lives. If not, well, it's perfectly normal for people to die in Fire Realm. Let's kill him and keep the bitch alive. She could entertain us for a few days. It has been so long I felt the touch of a woman. Noah turned to see Gaia shivering in anger. She was already in a bad mood by hearing the truth about the innocent people she killed, the state of her father, and him finding out her true identity. These guys just poured oil into her flaming fury. Are you sure you want to piss her off more than you already have? Noah asked, rubbing his temples. Damn it, looks like these idiots don't even know how to judge a situation. Let's teach them a lesson. Brothers, let's do it. Strip everything they got and kill him. We can keep the girl alive. The man who looked like the leader of this group shouted out loudly. 6 men dashed towards Noah while 4 picked Gaia as their target. They dashed at Gaia, licking their lips. Poison flame. Gaia didn't even try to hide her spells. She just went straight for the killing move. As far as she was concerned, Noah could run away or die of poisoning. The 4 who dashed at Gaia were stunned to see the emerald green smoke coming out of her mouth. However, it was too late as what they thought was a cloud of gas turned out to be a poisonous flame. Noah didn't expect her to cast such a powerful spell in such a short time too. He dashed away to avoid the flame. The emerald green mixed with her poison was too powerful as the 4 bandits melted in a few blinks of an eye. The other 6 were stunned to see their colleagues die such a horrible death in such a short time. Just as they were stunned, 2 silver arrows materialized in Gaia's hands. Die motherfuckers! She leaped into the air before landing in front of 2 bandits who were a couple of meters away from their colleagues. When they realized she was in front of them, she stabbed the arrows straight into their throats. Die, die, die. She withdrew the arrows as blood gushed out of their throats, yet she continued to stab them again and again. The blood gushed out from their bodies, painted her fair skin, and the silver dress red. Zanali was right. She is a murdering psychopath. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. You're tuning in to the Lee May's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.